Digging the vibe already. How about that on a Wednesday morning? Doesn't bother me at all. 6:14 in the a.m. here on Wednesday. Huh? What was that? Oh, okay. 6:14 on Wednesday. It is the 1st of July. Brand new month.
Excited.
You ready?
I'm ready.
What are we doing?
4th of July, man.
Yeah.
4th of July weekend. We're all excited for that. Are you not? You're not excited for 4th of July weekend?
Oh,
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, it depends on
I
Landon.
gotta see where you're. Oh, okay.
It depends on Landon because
don't
they're
say
talking
that.
about this storm.
Don't.
And in fact, I think one of the morning rags has
Okay.
people preparing, I think is the word that they use, preparing for the storm. And if I could wake up in the morning and see that headline,
Come on, Landon. Give me something good, bro.
we need
Give
a
us
little,
something good.
we need a
man.
little good love in the
my
weather
God,
department.
come on,
You know who's not having
We
it?
got people marinating meats and. Come on, Landon. Give me something, dog.
Yeah, he says I'll call very shortly. he knows we're calling him out.
Okay.
But you know who's not having it? Saipan. They're not having it.
Patty, that's where I'm
And it was one of those on the, I think it was Glenn Hunter or maybe
Give me
Ed
something,
Probst
dude.
wrote, "Are you effing kidding me?"
There's people that still don't have power.
Oh my
you know
God!
what I'm saying?
They
Yeah.
haven't recovered from
and
the
we're like
last
70
one, right?
days deep, and now we got a Landon. I'm praying for you for good news, man. We want good news, Landon. We got liberation parades planned in the NMI. Please, God.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah, Patty. I mean, it's
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 happening
serious.
now.
Like I
yeah.
said, we're marinating meat. We got big events. Tinian's bringing, they got floats happening. So
Dan's bringing the meat.
no, Tinian's bringing floats. It's it's a
Oh,
parade,
that,
liberation parade.
Yeah.
yeah. So never mind. Moving on. Landon, bad news. All right, bring it. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, here we
Landon?
go.
If you don't tell us that all is clear, we're you know
come
what,
on,
man?
dude. Cut us some slack, man.
We need some we
us
need some
some
help.
slack.
Give us the
Please.
I know
You know-
the truth hurts, but go ahead. What's that?
Yeah, this is a forecast I hate to make, and my heart's been breaking seeing some of these trends of the last 48 hours. And I was just talking to the congresswoman from the CMI around 2:30 this morning. I said, I've been freaking spooked by things I'm seeing, some of the trends since Monday afternoon. This is not a good outlook for the Mariana Islands, and this is something that everyone from Guam to Paga need to be taking very seriously, watching very closely, and start making some plans for preparedness and ready to go into full prep and actions mode if we go that route. But we're all going to be feeling the impact of some level of tropical cyclone late this weekend, early next week. This thing is still spinning up in eastern Micronesia. The Joint Typhoon Warning Center around 11 o'clock last night did upgrade this 95W to a tropical cyclone formation alert. This is something we've been anticipating and waiting for a couple of days now. That just means that it's starting to get organized, and that low-level circulation center has formed, and it's starting to develop more significantly, and it could become or likely will become a tropical depression later today or overnight tonight. So this thing is progressing as we anticipated. Now it's a matter of how fast will it progress, how fast will it move. Will this be a Guam hit, a Rota hit, Saipan-Tinian hit, or north of Saipan? My God, we all hope it's going to be north of Saipan or south of Guam. But one thing to note, this is a very large footprint with the surging westerly winds going from that circulation center right about 9 degrees north all the way down to the equator. So all of the FSM are going to be feeling the impacts to some degree over the next couple of days as this thing passes to their north. If this is a Saipan hit, for example, we will feel the effects of it down here, not the full force of it, but we will feel the effects because those peripheral winds extend well north and well south of this developing tropical cyclone. If it hits us, we're going to feel the full brunt of this, and so that remains speculative. Don't make your plans and worry and speculate based off of any single forecast model you see on any number of weather apps and social media pages, but again, everybody from Guam to Pagan should watch this very closely and plan for potentially significant impacts around Sunday and Monday.
Potentially significant impacts. What are we talking about when you say that? What are we talking about?
What's got me spooked is the long-range trends have been really bolstering this thing into a typhoon category tropical cyclone as it moves through, with some indications pushing a major typhoon through the islands. We're still seeing that in some of the ensemble numerical models. There's a little bit of a spread ranging from severe tropical storm, which I think would be a best-case scenario at this point, to something way worse. And so we've got a good 4 days of things to evolve, develop, and change as this thing makes its approach. It's Wednesday. We still have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday before it makes its passage somewhere through the region, Sunday into Monday. So that's a lot of time and distance for things to change and to develop. And so a lot of variation still possible. A lot of changes are still possible, but the consensus of models just has this thing making a beeline for the Mariana Islands, and so we're going to be feeling it to some extent. The level of impact is still going to be up in the air until we get some increased clarity in the coming days.
What do these models say about wind and and rain? Are we talking about a really wet one? Is that too early to tell?
It's too early to tell. I know some of our initial indications are a conservative 6 to 10 inches, and we were looking similar for Sinlaku. Of course, Sinlaku ended up being a fairly dry system for us with all the rain really consolidated over Saipan and Tini. And, of course, they had some of the worst flash flooding in recent memory by most residents up there because they were under that eye wall for 36 to 48 hours. So we were very fortunate with Sinlaku, and every tropical cyclone is different. Some can have a very large and a wet footprint, and it depends on where these rain bands set up, where they train. If they train over the Rotor Channel, no problem. But if it trains over Guam, we could have significant flash flooding potential, and so that remains to be seen because the storm symmetry plays a big effect on that. So right now we're keeping our projections broad, open-ended, but urging extreme awareness and preparedness. We're going to be going into probably a full TC operations mode with the Guam and CNMI Homeland Security offices. We've had a lot of conversations the last couple of days. Spoke with the governor of Guam this morning around 5 a.m., the congresswoman from CNMI at 2:30 this morning. We're going to have to watch this closely. This is not the news I want to be breaking to people, especially the CNMI. They are still spinning circles after Sinlaku, and, this is just not a good week.
What is the forecast then for the weekend that you can tell the public? We were just talking about, earlier it looked like it was something that's going to happen maybe around the end of this week, beginning of the weekend. People had plans for the weekend, and I don't know, people have to make a decision on whether or not they feel like they're going to still carry out their Saturday, July 4th fireworks, or is it just shut everything down? What's the opinion of the leadership?
And those are going to be some discussions to be had today, and I'm asking people in planning and organizers to have a go, no-go decision time frame, especially the CNMI. The CNMI, their Liberation Day is July 4th.
Yeah.
So it's a big day, a big weekend for them up there. We're going to have a lot of conversations. I know Malesso has a festival going on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The weather is going to be fine, fair, and favorable today, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We could see things starting to change Saturday evening, Saturday night, depending on how fast this thing moves and how quickly the onsetting conditions start to set in across the region. That's just clouds, showers, and some thunderstorms. Maybe not the strong or damaging winds until Sunday, but we still have 4 days for things to evolve. And so sure bet weather is going to be great for us today, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, at least for the first half of the day. Beyond Saturday evening, it gets very questionable. It depends on how this thing tracks and evolves.
And you're talking about condition of readiness. That's kind of like what you guys have been talking. I mean, what you say that has to be deliberated as early as today on condition of readiness. How soon is soon enough for declaration of any varied level of readiness for Guam, you think?
That can go in several ways. I think for preparedness, you can't be prepared soon enough. You should be prepared all the time, and the condition of readiness for the island of Guam, that's a good posturing for the island, posturing on preparedness. The awareness should be there nonstop at this point. The preparedness should be in effect right now. People should be prepared and start taking actions to be prepared for a tropical cyclone. The condition of readiness, that's tied closely to our watches and warnings, and which is closely tied to the onset of damaging tropical storm force winds. And so we're still way outside that window. Our watches for damaging winds and for typhoons, that's set at about 48 hours. So if we issue a typhoon watch, that means that damaging winds are possible within 48 hours, and a typhoon warning means that those damaging winds are expected in 24 hours, becoming typhoon force. And so the condition of readiness is tied closely to that. We can sometimes lean forward and issue it prior and earlier than that 24-hour and 48-hour time frame, just to posture a little bit earlier, get those communications out earlier, especially if it's a nighttime time frame. We want to avoid doing nighttime deliverables like that, but do it during the daytime when people can receive it and take action.
So I guess overall you're saying we're going to get something. To the degree to which
Correct.
we get it is still up in the air, and this
Correct.
is what has got you spooked. Are you saying that
Correct.
you're seeing models, yet there's other contributing factors that haven't produced themselves, and the likelihood of that happening is very good, or medium to good, or unlikely? So it's too much of a crapshoot to make any decisions.
Where to go with that?
Moment. Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. I'm really spooked because this has had the Mariana Islands in the crosshairs for several days, but the way this was evolving Monday and Monday afternoon with its internal structure and organization, that had me spooked, and then the model trend started latching onto some of those developments, and that's where it's been holding steady since. Mm-hmm. The model forecast, the potential intensities of the system, has me very concerned, especially for the CNMI, where they're still spinning circles in recovery efforts after Sinlaku. This is something we have to watch very closely, because the potential is there for possibly a major typhoon to push through the island somewhere.
Amazing. Well, listen, Landon, we're all open. I'm sure that everybody's saddled in and waiting for all of the information to come out. So we'll wait for you to disseminate that information, as well as watch Homeland Security, Office of Civil Defense, and the governor's office. But, like you said, the CNMI, is over it. You know what I mean? There's still people that don't have some of the basic necessities. So, all right. Well, thank you for the information. It isn't good news, absolutely not, but we do appreciate that whatever news that you impart is going to be something that people can make decisions about. So for that, I'm grateful. Thanks so much.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Patti.
It's my pleasure. Take good care. It's 6:26 now. Man, I can't with the CNMI right now. I honestly, you're seeing, he's calling Kimberly King Hines to, let her know. And she's lamenting, whoa, it's our Liberation Day on Saturday. And, the CNMI has been always looking for reasons to celebrate. And this would have been a great one, considering they've been under the weather for since Sinlaku. That we just there's so many unknowns out there that here and in the islands, not only here but in the islands, including in the FSM, the lack of any solid facts about what is about to happen in the next several days still jars the instincts of islanders who have been there, done that, and seen over decades different scenarios of the unknown. And there's one common thread that we all have: is better be safe than sorry, better be prepared than surprised. So, I can say, thank God, that Friday's a holiday. Because there will, and it's also a payday for the government of Guam and for many people. So in that case, you're going to have people with a little extra, revenue that they might honestly be having to use toward redoing what they were doing in Sinlaku, or fortifying what they already had during Sinlaku. So these are going to be the next busier days, with people out trying to do and prepare. And preparation for some means, stocking up on our food supply and just checking the wires on the generator. And for many others, and I'm going to go with many others, it's replenishing entire supplies, or having to go out and figure out how they're going to pack all of their goods and get them ready for the eventual move to typhoon shelters that will open up. And again, thank God that Friday is a holiday, and that there are more people that are at home and not at work, where they have access to be able to freely move around and prepare. And so I guess all of that, we're going to revisit this, and we've been there, we've done it before, and we're all pretty good at it. So whatever it brings us, we've seen the worst. We have absolutely seen the worst. It's the bottom of the hour now. Let's go ahead and take this bottom of the hour break. It is Wednesday, so Polly's Perspective coming up here on Mornings with Patti. Be right back.
Under the Constitution, America is a republic. The First Amendment secures our ability to change our political laws by protecting our rights to religion, assembly, press, petition, and speech. We're the only country born from the idea that people must be free to pursue their happiness, uninhibited by the government. This has kept us as one nation under God through 2.5 centuries of peaceful transition of power. The United States are at the top of the world today, but the graveyard of history is full of the remains of once mighty empires. Will our republic degenerate into an oligarchy, as Rome did 2,000 years ago? Or is the best yet to come for the land of the free? Jefferson warned how easy it is for liberty to yield and government to gain ground. This process is not unstoppable. The future of America depends on our support for the principles of the Constitution. It's an American thing.
Liberty. It's an American thing. From AmericanThing.org.
Off a day, everyone. 30 minutes after 6 o'clock right now. Let's go ahead and hit the streets. We got your traffic report for you right now, and it's all being brought to you by Guam Auto Spot, and you could schedule a test drive. All you got to do is give us a call at 478-AUTO, or if you'd like to look at our inventory, you may also visit our website if you go to GuamAutospot.com. Looking at traffic along Route 1 this morning, it looks like traffic is light, moving great through Chico as well as Dedido. Hopping onto Route 3, getting around to Stoombo this morning, GRMC as well as Leaguan. We've got no delays there. Machechi Road is just as clear, as well as our friends getting along Route 16. For our southern end of the island, you will find traffic building up a tad bit coming around Chalampago or Daughter getting around Sinahanya and Hagåtña this morning. Mongmong Totu Maiti, we've got no delays there, so let's just continue to watch our speed limit, allow some braking distance between yourselves and the vehicle in front of you, and remember, Guam, seatbelts are sexy. We are moving forward with our friends at Guam Auto Spot right here on the Wave 105 FM.
And we're live here outside the Perez family home, just waiting for the... And there they go, almost on time this morning. Mom is coming out the front door strong with a double-arm kid carry. Looks like Dad has the bags. Daughter is bringing up the rear. Oh, but the diaper bag wasn't closed. Diapers and toys are everywhere. Ooh, but Mom has just nailed the perfect car seat buckle for the toddler. And now the eldest daughter, who looks to be about 9 or 10, has secured herself in the booster seat. Dad zips the bag closed, and they're off. But looks like Mom doesn't realize her coffee cup is still on the roof of the car. And there it goes. Oh, that's a shame. That mug was a fam favorite.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Just nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Learn more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
As parents, we have a million things running through our minds. Playdates, checkups, groceries, laundry, diapers, work, carpool schedules, picture day, swim team, did we mention diapers, birthday parties, meal prep, lost permission slips, dentist appointments, and the dog that still needs to be walked. So it's easy to make a mistake. Oh, I forgot birthday candles. Sit tight, hon, I'll be right back. We say we'd never put our kids in danger by leaving them in the car alone. Oh, wait, since when are candles not on the baking aisle? But never happens. And temperatures as low as 60 degrees can be deadly for children left behind. So always bring them with you, and every time you park the car, stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
It all connects. The girl who walks for hours to bring home the family's water, the school she can't attend most days, the breakfast she didn't have, the rain that hasn't fallen in months, the danger around the next bend, her little brother's belly laugh, her mother's hug, her dreams of being a teacher, an engineer, the mayor. All the reasons life is both so hard and so beautiful. It all connects. But so do we, for children's sakes. At Child Fund, we connect through everything we do, together, so every child can grow up healthy, educated, and safe. Because we need each other. Learn more at childfund.org.
We are all for first-time guests and longtime friends. All for First Light and Starlight. For road trips and trail runs. All for mountaintops and monuments. River bends and battlefields. We're all for showing up and giving back. To protect, to preserve, to pass it on. All parks depend on us, and we're all for parks. Join us at nationalparks.org/allforparks.
A message from Joshua Jackson, actor and Fair Volunteer Ambassador.
Food allergy is a serious, life-threatening disease that impacts over 33 million Americans. When your immune system sees certain food proteins as a threat, every bite matters. But here's the good news. There have been advancements in the treatment of food allergies, and with one voice, we can create better awareness. Because in the FAIR community, the disease doesn't own us. We own our journey. Talk to an allergist to understand your options. Visit foodallergy.org/empower to learn more.
News, insight, conversation. Way 105, the talk of Guam.
.36 now here on Mornings with Patti, welcoming into the conversation, as usual on a Wednesday, is Paulie with his perspective. Good morning, Paulie. How's everything going today?
It's going well.
Yeah. I'm thinking about this typhoon or situation or tropical, whatever the system is coming through, and it's gonna start sparking people to take, the action. I was saying, it's kind of a good thing. Well, it is a good thing that people have a little more independence over on Friday because it is, Independence Day. So, they're not tied to having to show up to work in order to go and compete with trying to prepare for a typhoon. But generally, here's a question, an average family guy. Does your family always have like preparedness items, or are you a replenisher, or are you a 11th hour, go out and try to get prepared kind of family?
Definitely not an 11th hour, but yeah, I mean, I don't stock up like it's Armageddon or anything. I think I learned my lesson trying to do some of that early on, where we had to throw stuff away. So I'm not doing that again, right?
Yeah.
Even water, you can only store so much water, right? Yeah, because then the heat gets to it, and I'm now very extremely worried and concerned about microplastics and whatnot. So I don't want to keep bottled water stored for too long.
Yeah, right. It's and you also in a full house back in the day when we were raising high schoolers and middle schoolers, you always had to lock up the snacks. Because that was in case of emergency, and here we are playing Monopoly on night one. Right?
Yeah, even Pop-Tarts, you can't store that too long. It's like cardboard eventually. Pop-Tarts, we used to store a lot of Pop-Tarts.
Oh, dang.
It's like cardboard, so we don't do that either.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like fresh cardboard when you first get them.
Yeah.
So it's not that bad. So you know how to get the cardboard taste out of it? You have to toast it. Don't eat it. Don't
when we don't
eat it
have
raw.
Power, right? Then we're
this is true. Open fire.
I don't know. We become pretty. We start to experiment, right? When we have no power for so long, and what can we fry up on the gas stove?
Yeah. You know what saved us this last time was those Ryobi fans, those electric.
Yes.
I think they run for like 12 hours or something. Dude,
absolutely.
I was sleeping with blankets. I know that doesn't sound right, but I mean, I was sleeping with a light blanket because it's so powerful that it really, does the job. I imagine there's going to be a run on them because there were a lot of people. Yeah. It's the price gouging we got to work on. That's some of that's pretty obvious. Some of that
Right.
stuff is pretty obvious. But anyway, I honestly hope that this isn't the scenario as we were looking at it, Sinlaku, especially because, you had an entire staff up here, right, trying to tag team on a really dangerous night. So
Yeah, I mean, you can't. Landon and those guys are doing a fantastic job. It's never good news to share, but I mean, this is how a whole island, multiple island communities, right? Prepare not just here, but all of Micronesia, right? I mean, he's talking about our brothers and sisters in Chuuk and also Pohnpei and the Marshall Islands. Like the coverage that they report on and they track is massive, and I just commend them for all of their hard work, and then when you give something like this, a report like this, you're not going to get the thank yous or whatnot. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we're so very grateful for everything that they're doing there.
Oh, absolutely. That's an absolutely great point to make, that sometimes the news isn't always what we want to hear, but people make decisions based on the news that they hear. And you certainly don't want to gloss over anything to spare people's feelings. And then, ultimately, their life and property becomes endangered. Yeah. So,
right. You can't even win, too. I remember how many times people were trying to find the address of Barbara, what's her name? Barbara White?
I missed the Barbara White era.
She was getting it wrong all the time.
I heard the stories about Barbara.
I remember this when I was a kid, too. I'm like, she got it wrong again.
What a terrible reputation to have. I've heard legendary stories about Barbara White, and they always centered on one thing, if you know what I mean. But otherwise, I didn't know what her pass and fail rate was. That's pretty funny. That a lot of times she got it wrong.
Yeah, maybe she did get it more right. Maybe it's just over the years. I still remember people were very upset.
Oh man,
because the forecasts were not what she said, but she absolutely loves it, right? Somebody told me that she went after Guam chasing tornadoes.
I wouldn't be surprised. You know what I mean? She was all in it. I understand. She was obsessed with weather. So I can't imagine that she wouldn't go looking for other natural events to cover. But I was going to say so. So my sister the other day, I was on a phone and she was like, yeah, I was looking at Windy or, other apps. And I'm like, you guys ought to stop doing that. And she's like, well, And I told my niece, she goes, yeah, but we look at the tides because he's a fisherman, and I'm like, you got to stop doing that, because when you do that, you start spreading that information, and it's not coming from a source that could respond to the information, because the National Weather Service is the only organization that has the authority to put out watches and warnings and that sort of thing, and so. You could look at a weather pattern and it may be the same, but you don't know what to do with that information if you're not paying attention to what they're actually saying on the other side, right? So anyway, well, we'll be prepared. I mean, this is not, certainly in our broadcasting years, it's not our first one, and we tend to always know what to do, right, in things like this. It's just the only distinctive difference is the gauging the winds or gauging the amount of rain that falls, right? But we've all been there, and we know the exercise. So over the past several days perusing the news, I'm looking at, look at all of the news outlets. I look at all of them, and I don't know any one story that sticks out in your mind that you have a perspective, but I think every tongue is wagging on this Jeffrey Santos story out of GPD that comes. A lot of people knew this guy or know this guy. I don't I have to look at his face. So you must know him. You don't know him? Oh,
no,
okay.
No, but I did see the story. I woke up to it.
Yeah. That is I think that the PDN actually got the complaint from the U.S. District Court and was pretty detailed about what the allegations are against him. So there's that. I don't know. I heard Jesse Lujan yesterday during that oversight on the airport. Where they were
that's the big one. That's a big one. A little over 5 hours, maybe closer to 6 hours oversight hearing between the airport and GVB. The airport is they're an autonomous agency and they don't normally ask for bailouts, but they're looking for a $17 million bailout because, people aren't coming to Guam as often. And so how do they offset the cost to run and operate the airport? They either have to raise their fees, which, if they raise their fees to their vendors like the airlines, then the airlines will have to raise their ticket prices and whatnot, right? And so that will end up hitting the customer. So they have to really look at that.
Well, I mean,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, but I mean, if they're not generating the kind of revenue, it's because they don't have the traveler that's coming through. So when an entity doesn't have the customer base, or they're not exactly getting the revenue, do they not, as a part of the simple business practice, start to cut back on operations?
Oh, yeah, yes, but what does that look like? Hopefully this is temporary, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's something that they should be looking at internally, but I guess plan A, or I don't know, maybe plan C right now is to go to the legislature and say, are you willing to subsidize? Otherwise, we have to raise our fees. Nobody said anything about layoffs but they asked about power. What are you doing to conserve power? They're putting up solar panels. They changed all their light fixtures and whatnot. Senator Perez was asking, what are you doing about insulation and, looking at those, right? And they have a number of capital projects. I think Senator Chris Duenas was able to kind of, I don't know, convince them that $9 million will probably work. But, I mean, if you look at, what Senator Chris Duenas does, right? And he's overseeing the budget, but, as a whole, they're going to decide how much to give all the agencies, right? Because the budget session, they go into session tomorrow, but only for a little bit. They're going to hand out the budget bill. I think Gov has her own budget bill, which she sent a long time ago, right? Mm-hmm. We kind of looked at it, and the governor's budget bill is 4.5. And the legislature's budget bill is 4 for the BPT. Mm-hmm. So they're going to have to look at a lot of those things. But it sounds like Senator Chris Duenas only has an appetite to give them possibly $9 million. And that could also come down from the executive branch, because Lester Carlson was there also. And they looked at Lester and said, the governor might need to send down a bill that would give the airport this bailout. What does that look like? We'll see. And then, even Lester was just talking about how taxes are slowly coming in. Typhoon Senlaku came, and so that was around tax time. And so there was this, amnesty, or this, extension to pay your taxes. I haven't paid my taxes. I always ask for the past 5 or 6 years now, ask for an extension, so I won't be paying until a little bit later on. So
well,
I mean, but all of that,
and that's the par for the course. I mean, you have people who are regular extenders, and then you have people who might have already been paying every year at the same time, and then haven't yet because they can hold on to their money a little bit longer because they have until December or October, but December for property taxes, right? So there's a whole base of taxpayers that have had these extensions that might be taking full advantage of it because they didn't expect to be paying gas prices and July. Hold on to your. I told my kids, brace yourselves. I have my entire family, Tia and Jesse, are coming in next weekend. Every single bedroom in my house is going to be used with air cons. That hasn't happened in years. So I'm like freaking out over my power bill because it's going to go up. Not $58 for me, more like $158 for me. So, maybe everybody's kind of sitting on the time. And so wasn't that admittedly that they knew that tax filings would drop because they moved the deadline?
Sure. Yeah. But, nobody knew. I mean, we've been tracking it maybe for about a week, but, this is, and we've been knowing that the passengers coming into Guam have dropped, right? That's not a secret. But the airport mentioned this in their last board meeting, and then there's an oversight hearing that again happened yesterday, and that's when we were able to get a lot more information and understanding of where the airport's at. And, when the airport is talking about less passengers, then that, GVB comes into the conversation. What are they doing to assist, right, marketing-wise and whatnot? And so you know that they partnered together again for that seat incentives the last budget season. And so they are looking for another $10 million for seat incentives. And I just don't think the legislature this time around, everybody that was for it last time, including the oversight chair, Jesse Lujan, has a appetite to give them another $10 million. It certainly didn't sound like it.
It didn't sound like that when he said this was a bad investment.
Part of their budget. I think some people got it mistaken. This is on top of what GVB is asking $10 million on top of. This is not what nobody's taking $10 million away from GVB.
They're asking for
giving GVB 10 more for seat incentives.
And if there was anyone, you're right. If there was anybody who advocated for setting aside that $10 million for the incentives and held all of these hearings and urged the legislature to, get on the stick right away because things are desperately needed. In yesterday's oversight hearing, he said that it was a bad idea. He said, I think, quote, they made a bad bet by appropriating it. So that, and that's a huge turn.
Nobody's arguing. I think both of them understand the return on investment for tourism.
Right.
For tourism.
Right.
Tourism does help pay for public safety, public education, and public health. And, GVB put out an exceptional presentation proving that. Nobody was arguing that. However, that was the stance of GVB. The stance of the legislature is that's not the return on investment we're talking about. The return on investment we're asking is show us that those people that showed up to your podium and your booth actually bought a ticket. Where's the proof of that?
Yeah. Yeah, there's been a lot of road trips. Excuse me. And we've seen these kinds of fairs and conferences and things that they go to. I went to one in 94 or something like that. And I mean, it was a big to do. I'd not ever seen anything like these kinds of trade shows that they go to. And so it isn't, I mean, how do you measure that? And what's the conversation? How do you measure how that translates into increased tourism?
Well, I hope what they said they can track, and they should be able to, because when they said that they were at the Great American Fair for the 250th, they said that United was giving out discounts again for those that live in the continental U.S., most especially the diaspora, right, to come back home, right, and give the discount.
Oh, I didn't know that they did that. I didn't know that they did.
They shared that yesterday.
Really?
That when they were there at the fair, because that was the first thing Senator Jesse wanted to know. Like, you spent all this money to go there, but, other states and territories didn't show up. Why'd you go there? Why'd you spend this much money to do all of that? And, for what, when we only get a very small percentage of visitors from there? And I understand where they're coming from. They should be doing those things, right? Because I do think that's a market that we're not tapping, the diaspora. Because even John Savares, when he was on my show yesterday, he said the same things that we were talking about on the 80th Liberation, when people took advantage of the discount from United to come home, right?
Yeah.
They were staying for 2-3 weeks and spending in the economy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you can track those numbers, then that will definitely justify. But all the trips and all the marketing, because I could also argue that all the hotels here are already marketing for themselves. You can't go to PIC. You can't go to Carrera. You can't go to Tossie unless you come to Guam.
Wow. Yeah, you know what? This is one of those. This, I don't know any. Well, that's not fair to say. I don't know any destination that doesn't battle with a downturn in tourism.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
Saipan's
But
a
they were
shining
also
example of it.
comparing.
But
Look at the amount of money that Hawaii spends.
yeah, I mean,
in their tourism. Look at how about Thailand? These are nations of millions of people. So I mean, you have to also look inward. How are we balancing the budget? Because every public hearing and oversight hearing that I watch, every agency needs their money. Where are you going to get the $10 million?
Yeah.
You're going to have to take from someone, and that's what Senator Chris Dueñas said. The governor can do it right now if she believes that this $10 million program is well worth it. She has the authority to transfer money right now.
Yeah, that was a lot yesterday. It certainly was. I couldn't stick with it. I mean, 5 hours is that's a big chunk, a big chunk of anybody's life. But
that's why I like it when they leave the transcript there.
Yeah,
because all I do is download that transcript, and it helps me tremendously.
Yeah. Well, we'll be looking forward to hearing about it this afternoon during your show, and sort of capsulizing everything that happened. What's next? Well, tomorrow is the state funeral for Stephen Ignacio, and I believe that there's
tomorrow?
Is it tomorrow?
I know that they are going into session.
Yeah, tomorrow for the
for the budget. Introduce the budget bill. Then they're going to recess.
Yeah, and
then they'll come back for the state funeral, but I'm not sure if the state funeral is tomorrow.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to wait. Here it is. I got it called to session. Congress.
July 7, Tuesday, July 7 is Chief's state funeral service.
Okay, on Thursday, July 2nd, and following the adoption of Resolution 197, will reconvene on July 7th at 9 a.m. Okay, for the state funeral. Sorry, I didn't see that. I didn't see that part of where it said July 7th. Looks like 2 to me.
Right, and then July 8th, I believe they'll go back to actually debate this budget.
Okay, that's where you want to be. That's the place where you want to be. Hey, listen, Polly, we'll be watching. You guys will be listening to absolutely.
Cody Lizama will be filling in for Senor Ron Laguarnia, so we will have Gordon Phoenix tomorrow.
Love that
because
kid.
Senor messaged me, and I know I announced it yesterday afternoon. So for our listeners, there will be Odin Phoenix tomorrow. It just will be with Senor Cody Lizama of the University of Guam Samoa Studies Program.
That kid is going. I mean, I've known him since he was in high school. And he's a close friend of Sean's, and so he's I've just seen him blossom as he is destined to do. But his command of the Chamorro language and his desire, passion, to be an influencer, to get other people to speak the native tongue has been really something awesome to see in young kids, and these young kids that are adopting the language and always wanting to, but never really having a vehicle by which to do that. Except except for the Chamorro classes that they take, but he's full immersion, and it's really nice to see that he's done. Cody, actually, I'm going to tell this little tidbit of a story. We had grass problems. We couldn't find anybody to do our grass, and there's one section of the house that just kept growing, and we couldn't manage it. Cody brought over his goat.
His goat. Yes.
Rocky.
I ask him about his goats all the time.
Oh my God, it's hilarious. Well, the goat, unfortunately, the goat was attacked by some feral dogs a couple of years ago, and Rocky succumbed to his injuries. But Rocky, I still have photos of Rocky was a thing. He was wearing for about a week because nobody could get near him except for Sean, the goat whisperer. But he had a Bank Pacific umbrella stuck to his horns for like a week, and every time he walked around, he had this little umbrella over his head. It was really pretty funny. But I admire the kid. On Fina Chamorro is to this afternoon at 4:00 with Cody Lizama. Good choice. Yes. Thanks a lot, Polly.
All right, take care.
You as well. Take good care. About a minute and a half before the top of the hour. Tourism is one of those topics that doesn't ever really have a clear end. And and everybody has an opinion about it. There's no shortage of influencers or naysayers or anybody, just the average guy opining over what the best way to do tourism here. And we make the mistake constantly of comparing ourselves to larger markets where they've got money to invest, money to burn, and money to lose in the investments. And when you call it an investment, it's always going to be a risk. You invest knowing what you're presented, and at various times the investment sounds like a better sound idea than it does if you present us with, hey, we're going to try to recover from a massive, typhoon. Would you invest in us? The marketing is so much different than the heyday of, just simply asking people to come and spending thousands of dollars to bring, hundreds of people to a trade show. And then knowing the results are going to be that everybody's showing up at your booth and taking your flyers, and then that translated into hotels being built because they kept coming. That was a heyday. We all know it. DFS was packed. You saw those M&M cars drive out, the solid primary color cars that are racing cars that run around here. All of these things pointed to a thriving tourism industry, and it's tough to make these decisions about what's going to happen in the future. But it is one of the biggest problems that we have here because it is part of the nest egg. It's 7 o'clock now. Let's go ahead and take that AP News. We got Dice with your traffic, and we got some weather. It's not to be updated necessarily, but it's a general weather statement about what's happening. Not a weather's forecast for what's happening, in the next 24 hours or so. The larger picture is coming from National Weather Service on a timely basis as Landon Idlett and others are speaking with, leaders in this area about what it might look like in the next several days. So keep your radio tuned for those special statements that are coming up. But otherwise, let's get into it at 701 KGUM-FM and Daddy Do Guam.
AP News, I'm Ed Donahue. At the start of his second term, President Trump issued an executive order declaring children born to people who are in the country illegally or temporarily are not American citizens. In the House, Texas Democrat Greg Casar pointed out the justices who voted no.
Clarence Thomas, Neil Gorsuch, Samuel Alito, and Brett Kavanaugh failed to recognize the fundamental constitutional right to birthright citizenship. 3 of those 4 justices would have allowed Donald Trump to rewrite the Constitution and overrule Congress with an executive order. These 4 men, so blinded by partisanship and extremism, that they act like they can't see the words in the Constitution. They can certainly read, but they are not following their oath to protect the Constitution and the rights of the people in this country. Shame on them. If these far-right justices are ruling against our rights, even when they're written down black and white in the Constitution, then nothing we hold dear is safe.
Today, the Supreme Court upheld state laws barring transgender girls and women from playing on school athletic teams. Justice Brett Kavanaugh wrote for the court, states may maintain women's and girls' sports for biological females to address safety and competitive fairness concerns. In the House, California Democrat Pete Aguilar says sports organizations and groups should be given a chance to figure this all out.
I don't know why those decisions can't be made locally, and why we can't allow coaches and teachers and parents and kids to arrive at a conclusion that they can live with.
The Supreme Court that has expanded gun rights will consider whether bans on semi-automatic rifles, often called assault weapons, violate the Second Amendment. President Trump's envoys are in Qatar for Iran war mediation. This is AP News. The AP's Lisa Dwyer reports the Vera C. Rubin Observatory is starting a 10-year survey of the universe.
Using the largest digital camera ever built to capture images of unseen corners of the universe in finer detail. Perched on a Chilean mountaintop, the telescope will point its eye at the southern sky, taking hundreds of images per night. Phil Marshall, Deputy Director of Operations.
Millions of asteroids. We can search for Planet 9. We can do a mapping of the Milky Way galaxy that we live in, all the stars way out into the outer halo. We can do time domain astronomy, looking for supernovae and massive black holes and all sorts of things that go bump in the night.
The observatory is named after astronomer Vera Rubin, who offered the first tantalizing evidence that a mysterious material called dark matter might be lurking in the universe. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
I'm Ed Donahue, AP News. AP News, I'm Ed Donahue. The Supreme Court has upheld a broad conception of birthright citizenship, rejecting President Trump's executive order that declared children born to parents who are in the U.S. illegally or temporarily are not American citizens. Cody Wofsy at the ACLU says it's encouraging.
There's a lot of pain in the country right now, particularly among those targeted communities. But I think that decisions like today's can give us all a real measure of hope that we can hold the line when it matters most. We can push back and achieve a measure of justice for vulnerable populations who are being targeted.
The Supreme Court is upholding state laws barring transgender girls and women from playing on school athletic teams in another setback for transgender people. The High Court also erased limits on how potential parties can spend in coordination with candidates for Congress and president, striking down a federal election law that's more than 50 years old. New Jersey Republican Congressman Tom Keene Jr. revealed the reason for his 4-month absence from the House.
I was given the diagnosis of depression. Now, when people hear the word depression, many people think simply it means feeling sad. But depression is so much more than that.
California Democrat Pete Aguilar says Keene could have been more transparent.
Hiding it and cloak and dagger and where in the world is Tom Keene is just a little weird for, I think, all of us to understand.
Publisher Simon & Schuster says regime change inside the imperial presidency of Donald Trump sold more than 300,000 copies in its opening week. Norway beat Ivory Coast 2-1 to move ahead at the World Cup. On Wall Street, stocks are higher at the closing bell. More information at apnews.com. This is AP News. LeBron James will play a record 24th season in the NBA, but not in Los Angeles for the Lakers.
The league's all-time leading scorer will move on after 8 seasons in LA. The next stop could be with his 4th different franchise. After starting in Cleveland, James made his famous decision, moving to Miami in 2010 and joining Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh.
The best opportunity to win.
2 titles later, he was back in Cleveland.
Exciting for the fans, exciting for the city.
And 4 years later, headed to Los Angeles, where a playoff loss last year led to retirement questions.
I don't know. I don't have the answer to that.
He was back in LA this year for a record 23rd season. James now has a slew of options, including Golden State, where he's close with Coach Steve Kerr, Steph Curry, and Draymond Green. I'm Sagar Magani.
I'm Ed Donahue, AP News.
AP.
You're listening to Mornings with Patti, where the conversation belongs to everyone.
Half a day, Guam. This is Paul Stanko with your National Weather Service. There could be slight increases in showers tonight and Thursday night. Otherwise, mainly isolated showers will combine with east winds 5 to 10 miles per hour that will turn northeast by Thursday and north by Saturday. Winds could increase to windy levels or higher Sunday and Monday, with showers likely. A moderate risk of rip currents along east-facing reefs could become high Sunday and Monday. There will be a limited threat of flooding put out by the National Water Center, and the fire danger could rise to moderate Friday, perhaps just to be crushed on Sunday and Monday. The latest weather information is always available at www.weather.gov/GUM.
Explore, snap, and share for a chance to win a round-trip ticket to Taiwan.
Join the Guam Photo Hunt and visit iconic landmarks and hidden gems island-wide. The more locations you photograph, the more chances you have to win exciting prizes. Learn more and submit to win online at visitguam.com/photo hunt. Terms and conditions apply. Explore, snap, and rediscover Guam. Brought to you by the Guam Visitors Bureau.
Happy day, everyone. Good morning and welcome back. We're going to go ahead and hit the streets right now for your second look at your traffic report. It's being brought to you by Guam Auto Spot, and you could schedule a test drive. All you got to do is give us a call at 478-AUTO or check out our inventory, which is also available on our website if you visit GuamAutospot.com. We're going to get up and around Hagåtña this morning. It looks like traffic is moving great through Hagåtña, getting around Anigua. We got no delays there. Coming around Asin as well as Patti. It looks like traffic is light and moving great. You will find a little delay coming in and out of the main gate of the Naval Base this morning. Santa Rita traffic is just as wonderful. Hagat, we got no delays getting around that side. And again, folks, this is going to be on the southern end of the island. As for our friends on Route 10 in Mangilao, you will find some delay coming around mobile gas stations in Mangilao. Mongmong Totu Maiti is light, as well as our friends along Route 16. Let's just continue to keep our eyes on the roads. Make sure you're not texting and driving, and we should all be able to have ourselves a safe Wednesday afternoon. We are moving forward with our friends at Guam Auto Spot. Your traffic report right here on the Wave 105 FM.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
The road to Adelut continues. This time, we sit down with Republican candidates. Vice Speaker Tony Atta and E.J. Calvo. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 5th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. Stay informed and hear their vision for Guam's future. Wave 105 is a glimpse of Guam radio station.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the show hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the staff or management of Wave 105.1 FM, Glimpses Media, or our partners. We strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, and we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105.1 FM. Enjoy the show.
Your island, your conversations, your station, Wave 105.1 FM, Glimpses Media.
One 105.1 The Wave is the talk of Guam. Start your morning with confidence right here on Mornings with Patti.
Wait, that's me. Mornings with Patti. 12 minutes now after 7 o'clock in the morning. I want to jump to the phones because I'm always grateful to get a very busy Guam Supreme Court Justice Robert Torres on the line with us this morning. Good morning, Your Honor. How are you? Are we there? Oh, that was such a big opening, too. Oh, okay. Is he there? Okay. Hello. Justice Torres, are you there?
He's here. He was here.
He was there, huh?
He was
Oh,
here.
maybe he'll call. That's like one of my best openings. You have no idea how sometimes. Okay, let me just see if I can't. Take your phone off mute, sir. Sometimes. Okay. Are you on hold? Let me just ask. Are you on hold?
Right? No. He was on the line.
Yeah, right.
I had a little conversation. Okay, I think I got it.
Hello. Hey,
can you hear me?
Now I can. I was going to tell you, take your phone off mute.
It was off mute.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I had such a good ramp up. It was probably the best introduction I've ever done for a Supreme Court justice. It was amazing. And so I went to you but now you're here, which is the most important thing. Thanks for joining us. I said you were a very busy person. In the introduction, I probably said that you are probably have led the way on the use of AI in the court system, maybe emerging as one of the judiciary's leading voices. And it's not for a warning not to use it, but how to enhance its use in the judiciary. And I was seeing that you had a conference all about this topic that you addressed. Do you want to kind of give
Yeah,
us go ahead.
we had a conference where we brought in judges from across the Pacific. I'm the president of the Pacific Judicial Council, and we put on trainings so that we ensure that judges from FSM, from Palau, from American Samoa, from the Northern Marianas, all get up-to-date training in topics that are, facing the judiciary. And we had a conference at the West End led by faculty from the National Computer Forensic Institute in Alabama and also National Judicial College faculty, Judge Ali Emerson from Oregon and Judge Mark McGinnis from Wisconsin, who have been teaching digital evidence and on AI for a number of years. And, first on digital evidence, I mean, it's becoming, common now in courtrooms. I would say, more than probably 70% of cases have some form of digital evidence that has to be relied upon in legal proceedings, whether it's emails, text messages, your WhatsApp posts, your social media posts, what you're storing on the cloud, digital photos, videos, recordings. And so, we wanted to make sure that as that's becoming much more common in the courtrooms across the Pacific region, that our judges are equipped to evaluate it. And then, of course, we dealt with AI. And AI is increasingly being used by courts and attorneys for legal research, document drafting, case management, and, they're being integrated into court systems worldwide. I read something the other day that in the federal courts, surveys show that more than 60% of the federal judges are already using AI in their chambers, mostly for research and document review. But, clearly the use of AI is expanding. And we also need to understand that there are, while there are benefits, there are also risks. And, you've got to be prepared to address those and the regulatory and ethical issues that come with using AI.
Well, I mean, there's onus on lawyers and judges at this point with AI being used as often as it does. 60% of judges, federal judges using it, but lawyers and judges also have a duty to fully understand AI.
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, we adopted last year our administrative order. We recognize that lawyers are going to be using AI, and we didn't want to discourage them from using AI. But at the same time, we put the onus on the lawyers in our administrative order to ensure that when they use AI, they recognize that they have to use it and conduct a thorough review of AI-generated content to ensure their accuracy and compliance with their legal and ethical obligations and the integrity of the judicial process. So, we're not burying our heads in the sand at the Supreme Court in terms of the fact that AI use by litigants and by attorneys, by pro se litigants as well, we expect it's going to be used, and we don't want to discourage it. But at the same time, it's the responsibility of all of the attorneys, judges, and self-represented litigants to ensure the integrity of what they file in court.
And it's interesting because, as these benches age all across the United States or the judicial system, I think that you've made the argument that technological competence is also part of professional competence. That's a whole nother, it's a whole nother trick for old dogs to learn. I'm not making any disparaging comments, Your Honor, but the truth of the matter is we've been viewing things a certain way, and folks like me, I've entered into that world as well, and I got to now keep my eyes even more open than I did, and it's getting tiring. It gets tiring.
And especially because it changes so quickly.
Yeah.
It's amazing how, when I first started, using AI. It was right when ChatGPT first became publicly available. My son-in-law worked for Microsoft, so he said, "Hey, look at this thing. It's just come out." And we were using it, to do poems for the kids around the dinner table. And there was limits on what the technology was doing. But when you look at what's happening now with the technology, it's amazing. I mean, most of the baseline ChatGPT, Claude, and others are now, entering into relationships with legal research firms. Thomson Reuters just signed a recent deal with who does the Westlaw research with Claude to integrate their research into the Thomson Reuters system, where you still have verification, but initial research gets done by that. So it's just changing so rapidly, and you really have to stay in front of it. And it's going to be around. There's no turning back. That cat's been let out of the bag a while ago.
And I think you also say that you got to keep the human in the loop, being an essential part of this.
Absolutely, AI should assist, not replace human judgment. You still require a human in the loop review. You have to have verification and disclosure. You have to ensure your privacy and data security, sensitive court data is protected. And you have to, by part of the verification is ensuring that, there's still fairness and bias prevention and a transparency in AI's deployment. Because one of the risks and challenges with AI systems is that they're trained on historical data, which sometimes can perpetuate systemic biases that would affect, some of the risk assessments or sentencing or bail decisions. So you've got to make sure that when you're using it, that you do have a human in the loop or on the loop.
We have experienced this in most recently, and by his admission, Attorney Mike Phillips had said it was an erroneous use of AI in proceedings and apologized for it. And I think it was Attorney Mark Smith did the same thing. So there are fees or there are fines, but these kinds of cases have a tendency to ruin a lawyer's credibility before the courts as well as to its clients. I'm not saying that it has. I'm saying it does have that element that you come now to question lawyers over their judgments in court, which is something that we don't tend to do when we hire a lawyer. It's usually somebody we're investing that is going to work on our behalf.
Well, the current rules of professional conduct and even the Code of Judicial Conduct have responsibilities on attorneys for what they file in the court. And they, there's even without the use of AI, you can sanction an attorney if he erroneously files documents that don't contain appropriate citations or mislead the court. And so those rules we made clear in our order apply just as well to your use of AI. And that's why ultimately it's the responsibility of the person, whether you're an attorney, whether you're a judge, whether you're a self-represented litigant, to ensure the integrity of whatever it is that you finally submit to the court. And judges are not immune. There are a few cases where judges have taken documents filed by lawyers, not vetted them, signed them as proposed orders, and found out that they had hallucinations in them. And so, and the judge has to bear that responsibility because ultimately it's his signature on that order that he's issuing. And while, the lawyer may have transmitted it to the judge as a proposed order, the judge still has that obligation to ensure the integrity of the document that's finally filed and issued.
Can this affect the jobs within the judiciary as far as eliminating positions because AI is being used, or increasing positions for people who will vet these facts and before they reach your desk? I don't know how to ask the question, but basically, does it affect the workforce by eliminating jobs or even creating jobs for additional fact checking?
Well, I think if you ask people across many industries, they think that there will be some efficiency that's gained from the use of artificial intelligence that might lead to restructuring of some jobs, but there will also be new opportunities that will be created by AI. People looking, they talk about prompt, people who are AI engineers or prompt engineers, data scientists who be, or data. We have big needs we're very data-driven court, and we have big needs to still find people to help analyze our data to help us make informed decisions. And we realize we have openings in that. So if you know of any good data specialists, we're happy to always look at them. And then also, someone to help manage as you start to develop and integrate more AI systems and make sure that they align with the court's goals. That's there. So there are some risks. There are also opportunities. But what they said, I think I've heard someone say, AI won't replace humans. AI will replace humans who don't know how to use AI.
Well, exactly that. So, which is ironic, because they say AI replaces what humans are doing, but at the same time, it will create other positions where you have to vet AI, which is also kind of interesting. Is there? I'm actually talking to one attorney who's saying that it's a daily problem for them to have to check facts because of lawyers not lawyers, but people who are defendants who are representing themselves. So,
right.
They may, have reams and reams of information for in any case, and it is up to the actual lawyer to go through every one of those pages to determine how much of that might have been generated.
Well, they can also use AI to help them. I mean, AI tools clearly are changing how self-represented litigants navigate the legal system. And, it's assisting with the research, analysis, drafting. And courts are recognizing also that there are increased filings and sometimes voluminous filings by self-represented litigants, and a number of courts are looking at solutions for how these significant increase in filings within the legal system by self-represented litigants, how to address them, because the trend has raised concerns about the potential for an overwhelming volume of litigation and for courts to be able to adapt to this reality. And, we're going along and looking at that as well. I mean, at least here, it hasn't come to that problem where we're overwhelmed. But we recognize that their filings are starting to increase, and it's important. But it's also an access to justice issue. You need to be able to ensure that these people, and especially as you saw, we just did something last week with the Northern Marianas, where we have now reciprocity between lawyers in Guam and in Saipan. You can become a member of both bars without taking a class, because we do have a problem with being able to provide legal services to all who need it. There are just not enough lawyers or people prepared to provide legal services to the people that need legal services on Guam.
Yeah.
And with our aging bar and the number of lawyers that we have, we are becoming a legal desert, as they say. I mean, what was it? I heard a statistic from Hannah yesterday that a significant portion of our bar is over 50 and in retirement, and there's not many younger lawyers coming up to take over for them. So we have to ensure that we try to take advantage and not prevent AI, but also work towards realistic norms that still allow them to use it as drafting and organizing, but requiring them to verify and getting help when they can.
Do you envision a court in the courts of the future to be so heavily reliant on the technology that any of this would actually eliminate that human loop, and that this technology becomes so smart that adjudication is automatic?
Yeah, I mean, there are actually courts in China are using AI to generate standardized judgments for their courts. I think it's a way to make sure that they do what's expected. But I don't think that AI can replace a judge in the administration of justice, because while AI and these other technologies are reshaping the administration of justice, they can't replace the judge's determination of legal rights and obligations. An AI machine, does not have empathy. An AI machine can evaluate the person before him. And I think almost everyone agrees that, these large language models, cannot be the final arbiter in a legal dispute.
While we're talking about vetting the information, and we are talking about people who are representing themselves, is there any policies within the court system here that would change pro se with this, obviously the compromising facts, without it even really being checked, or they're not even being sworn over the documents that they're presenting? That then, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have a rule that applies to the self-represented litigants as well, and so they have to take responsibility for that, and they can be sanctioned. And we have cautioned self-represented litigants who have filed with documents that have had hallucinated cases or made up holdings. And we have, cautioned them about their responsibility under our rules. And, it's actually, this isn't new, because a long time, it's probably been 15 years ago, we had a computer program called Access to Justice. We had a terminal right in the courtroom where litigants would come in and would be able to enter information and then be able to generate standardized court forms based on the information that they provided. And that's where I see AI and the use of AI really being able to help litigants with that, being able to get information for them, put it in, get standardized forms and documents that they're then going to be able to file with the court based on the information that they've provided.
So it really is a sort of a caution and a warning but a warning that you can't do it. But are there penalties or for perjury, or do they swear that these affidavits are?
Yeah, we have our current rules of civil procedure that can sanction them, and also the law regarding you can't perjure yourself and file a document under a sworn affidavit in court, and if it's not true, obviously there are consequences.
Okay, I'm not trying to disclose your age, because we're about the same period of time, but you're here's my thought. Now, this is sort of a natural conclusion to my assessment of your wife running for Congress, and you, of course, being of full retirement age. I just want to know, are we going to lose the Tauruses to Washington, D.C. if Mrs. Taurus actually wins for a congressional seat?
I told people, I said, I'm glad that we authorized teleworking at the Supreme Court. Okay. So, I'm not ready to retire yet. I'm enjoying the work that I'm doing. And, if we're blessed enough that Mary is successful, my full intent is to continue work. And, we sit in appellate session every quarter. And, so I think I can handle the workload. I've handled working remotely while I've taught for the National Judicial College, and I've chaired a number of judicial organizations in the States. And, to me, it's natural to be able to continue to still be on the road and do the work that you need to do, and yet still be here and be engaged. I've even called you from off island a few times, Patti.
It was that, and I wouldn't have even noticed. I wouldn't have even noticed. Well, it's good to hear, us folks still have a career and still working at it. We are certainly not our parents. At this age, my mother was already retired as well, and I just feel like there's so much life left, to keep on going. So good on you guys. I appreciate it. Good luck to you and your family.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy what I'm doing. I enjoy serving the people of Guam. The work is still very interesting. I mean, people forget that our Supreme Court is relatively young when you compare it to other state Supreme Courts. So we get a lot of very interesting and complex issues that shape the law in Guam, and it's exciting. And so I'm happy to continue to be, doing that. And I don't think there's anything else I would rather do right now than that.
Do you follow carefully, probably maybe more carefully now than before, some of these decisions that are coming out of the higher court, of the High Court, U.S. Supreme Court, some of
absolutely.
these executive orders? Go ahead.
Yeah, in fact, there was one that dealt with technology yesterday, the Chatry case that dealt with digital geofence warrants. I haven't read the opinions today. The one that I really want to spend the time reading, it's a 200-page decision, was the one on birthright citizenship. I was a bit surprised that the decision ended up being a 5-4 decision. I have spoken about the insular cases before, and while this case did not deal with citizenship in the territories, it had some interesting implications for that potentially in the future. And so, I look forward to reading the ruling that reaffirms the constitutional guarantee of birthright citizenship.
I'd be interested to hear how you feel, if that's a possibility to understand. You're right. I mean, it's not something that we deal with in our own backyard, but so many of these decisions that are being made are like right on the cusp of closing in on our border. And so many people think that it's happening over there when they don't realize that the impact on Guam could be so much greater than people might realize. So
yeah, I mean, absolutely, and this is a perfect example of that case was this birthright citizenship case. People forget that we don't have our right to citizenship by virtue of the Constitution, but enjoy that from the Organic Act of Guam, right?
Yeah.
And so, when a citizenship clause is going up before the Supreme Court, it's important that we pay attention.
Absolutely.
Because there has been, throughout the years, our citizenship has been determined to not be equivalent of those that get their citizenship under the Constitution.
Right. Justice, it's always good to talk to you. It's always a great conversation. We should have it more often.
I'm happy to do that, Patti. I can make it. I've always felt that there's a great opportunity to talk about the law on the radio and, get people exposed. I mean, and that's one of the big things I've been trying to do with all of the law month. It started law date and now law month, and people are teasing me it's almost law year over the years. But I do want to make one plug for our race judicata. It was postponed by Silaku, but we are going to have it on July the 11th, 7/11. We're going to have our race judicata down at the courthouse, our 5K.
Okay.
And we we always give the proceeds to charity, and so I really want to encourage everyone to come and participate in the race.
Well, and even larger to that is America is celebrating its 250th. Remember in 1976 when you graduated, how big of a deal that was in Guam?
I know.
Yeah, so 250th is also the birth of the courts.
Yes,
and so,
it's exciting because I'm actually, involved with the Appellate Judges Educational Institute, and we're going to be celebrating in Philadelphia in November. And I'm bringing a constitutional scholar to talk about the power of we with the Declaration of Independence, along with Ben Franklin. Ben Franklin will be paying us a visit in Philadelphia.
Really? Oh, nice. Well done.
Yeah, it's gonna. It's going to be quite interesting to hear Ben Franklin's take with the current constitutional scholar from Yale on the work that they did with the Declaration of Independence.
That actually sounds. That actually sounds really enticing. I mean, it's maybe some people think it's a little bit nerdy, but I'm all over it. I think that's great.
It's going to be a lot of fun, I think,
bet.
and I've already been in talks with Ben Franklin. He's a scholar, historian. Mitch Kramer is his real name, but he's fantastic.
He's nailed it.
And
he nailed it.
Yeah.
He nails it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So today, in honor of the 250th, the birthday of the U.S. courts, you are also celebrating here on Guam. I think you have an event coming up in the next hour.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a flag raising this morning at 8:30 at the courts in honor of the 250th, and we're also going to be adopting a Judicial Council resolution.
Oh, okay.
While we may not be a full part of the American family, we still are part of the American family, and we want to celebrate, the 250th anniversary.
Well said. Thank you, sir. I do appreciate this, Justice Torres. We'll keep in touch, and good luck with the campaign and all that life brings. Thanks so much.
Well, it's hard, right, Patty? Because I can't campaign. I can't get out there.
Right.
So I just, have to be a dutiful husband and drive sometimes and sit in the car. But
it's about damn time.
It goes.
It's good to talk to you.
Right.
Take care, Justice. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Patty.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Always. Justice Robert Torres. Some people know him as Bobby. Some people know him as Tata, and some people just know him as just a regular guy that grew up around the 70s. Again, he graduated when we in high school. We didn't graduate together, but we in high school at that time period, celebrating America's 200th birthday was a very big deal in Guam. I mean, the schools were in it. There was like a huge campaign of the celebration, and unfortunately, at that time, Super Typhoon Pamela rolled in, and the hype was there, but we really couldn't do anything because we were shackled by typhoon recovery at the time. So 250th, hey, it's still a big deal. About 7:41. We'll take a break here. Be right back.
Explore, snap, and share for a chance to win a round-trip ticket to Taiwan. Join the Guam Photo Hunt and visit iconic landmarks and hidden gems island-wide. The more locations you photograph, the more chances you have to win exciting prizes. Learn more and submit to win online at visitguam.com/photo hunt. Terms and conditions apply. Explore, snap, and rediscover Guam. Brought to you by the Guam Visitors Bureau.
Alrighty, guys. Good morning, everyone. 42 minutes after 7 o'clock this morning. Let's go ahead and do some traffic for you right now. And it's all being brought to you by Guam Auto Spot. Schedule a test drive. Give us a call at 478-AUTO. Or if you'd like to look at our inventory, go ahead and check out our inventory. It's available on our website if you go to GuamAutospot.com. All right, friends, let's get around Anigua this morning. It looks like traffic is moving nicely. It is going to change up for our friends in Hagåtña. We're looking at both East and West O'Brien Drive coming around the Superior Court of Guam. or hopping on to Mongmong Tu Mighty. That's going to be along Route 8 this morning around that tri-intersection, Crown Bakery 76, Circle K, and the Barrigada Fire Station. You will find some north and southbound traffic there, as well as our Santa Teresita Church up and around Price Elementary and getting around the mayor's office in Manilao. We got ourselves some north and southbound traffic over on that end. For our friends on the southern end of the island, it looks like Chalampago traffic is beginning to pick up. For our friends outside of Song Market this morning, it looks like we got some wait time there, some north and southbound traffic. Route 16 is looking really nice and clear. No delays getting around Teton this morning. Or for our friends in Tamuning, we would like to remind everyone just to fasten your seatbelts. Let's keep our eyes on the roads, not on the phones. No texting and driving on the streets of Guam. And remember, folks, let's get our kids strapped in the proper booster and car seats. Allow some braking distance between yourselves and the vehicle in front of you. And we should all be able to have ourselves a safe Hump Day Wednesday. This is your traffic report, and we are moving forward with our friends at Guam Auto Spot.
Guam is building the future, and the right conversations start here. SAME Guam Post invites you to the 2026 Industry Forum happening July 28 through 30 at the Dusitani Resort. Join military, government, and industry leaders as they come together to discuss Guam's future in infrastructure, resilience, and regional growth. This premier event connects you to Guam's next generation of infrastructure. Registration is open. Visit GuamIndustryForum.com. The 2026 SAME Industry Forum, delivering Indo-Pacific readiness.
Celebrating America's 250th birthday. On November 2nd, 1920, radio station KDKA in Pittsburgh broadcast the results of the presidential election. That was the first radio news broadcast for the public and the beginning of commercial broadcasting in the United States. And for decades, millions of listeners have been hearing their news on the radio, like Edward R. Morrow, reporting from London during a World War II blitz.
This is Trafalgar Square. The noise that you hear at the moment is the sound of the air raid siren. I'm standing here just on the steps of St. Martin's in the Field.
And Herbert Morrison's emotional report of the Hindenburg disaster.
Oh, the humanity.
And President Franklin Roosevelt's fireside chats, where he reported the news and comforted the nation during troubled times.
My friends, I want to talk for a few minutes with the people of the United States about banking.
Americans have been listening to radio for 126 years, just over half of our nation's 250 years.
Why be at the forefront of childhood cancer research? At St. Jude, we do it because every innovation we make is a moment we give to children with cancer everywhere. But we can't do it without you. Help St. Jude give children with cancer more moments. Moments that can last a lifetime. Learn more at stjude.org.
The road to Adelup is set. This time, we sit down with Democrat candidates Senator Joe St. Augustine and former Senator Dwayne St. Nicholas. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 8 on the Wave 105 YouTube channel. Stay informed and hear their vision for Guam's future. Wave 105 is a Glimpses of Guam radio station.
Stay sharp, stay curious, stay connected. Wave 105, the talk of Guam. Glimpses Media.
Here on Mornings with Patti. How you doing? I like the color of that shirt.
We're trying.
I mean, it kind of looks like it's like a sunshiny yellow, and then I see like a mustardy, making me think of a hot dog.
Hey, fuck eye. Thank you.
Really?
Yes,
well,
it
aren't
is.
you just? Oh, I see the fuck eye level. Okay, and a Crown's hat. The girl is rocking she's rocking the Guam fit.
We try.
Yeah,
try.
This
Support
is the
local,
time.
man.
Absolutely, but this, and this is the time to be rocking the Guam fit. July 1st signals a very busy month in Guam of all of the things we pay attention to. July 4th, is the holiday, obviously obviously observed by the local government as well. So that's why so many people have the day off on Thursday. To include
job,
us in the corporate world, we also, sort of genuflect to
Nice
American
job.
independence.
Hey,
But
enjoy that extra nap.
well, I'm feeling like hamburgers and hot dogs. I just feel like we don't get to eat that fare often.
Hamburgers and hot
All American cuisine of hamburgers,
okay.
and hot dogs and
right.
Bad Bunny music because Super Bowl.
Oh.
Megyn Kelly says we should have meatloaf and mashed
Did
potatoes
she
and not
really?
burritos and tacos and Mexican music on the Super Bowl. But I say hamburgers, hot dogs, is a Mexican chili, little American baked beans. I'm just feeling we need to have some French fries.
Get
and
some of that in there?
Good old Doritos chips. I mean,
whatever
is on the table. Whatever's on your...
Hey, get it, guys.
I can't deny that I was indeed born in Austin, Texas. And there's that part of me. There is no part of me that says you were born in Austin, Texas. You would look at me and go, no, you weren't. No. I mean, it was a fluke that I was born in Austin, Texas, but that means absolutely nothing when you're when apparently you are born on American soil. The conversation today with Justice Torres is one of those conversations that become an eye opener to a branch of our U.S. government that is supposed to be like this is the one thing. If you look at any of the branches of government, the judiciary is one place where democracy rules. This is the one place that is sacred to our independence and our freedom, and that is the ability to be judged on your doings. And when you become a court of law, you could not find a branch of the government that has to have more credibility than the other. It's because it's people's lives. I mean, you're affecting legally people's lives, and the interpretation of the Constitution is constantly being sent before these courts, in federal courts and state courts, and ultimately to the Supreme Court. And the past week, I have certainly been enjoying some of the decisions that have been coming out of, Justice Roberts' courts, that these decisions that have been made, these executive orders that have been made, you kind of go back and forth on your emotions on the things that they're saying that can be done and things that are saying that are just unconstitutional. And with all of these wins comes some of the weirdest, are you kidding me? Is the court really saying what they're saying? And it's become that so many people are so shaky now about what this U.S. Supreme Bench is actually doing. It's very difficult to follow sometimes. And a lot of decisions are being made going against some of these Trump decisions and some going with it. And women in sports is a huge thing. Transgender or the gender issue on women in sports, ruled that the states have got to figure out a way to make sure that they are only biological females that are competing on some of these teams. Because of the imbalance. And that's going to shock a bunch of states that was allowing it. And now they don't have much time to undo what has already been done. And that I feel badly for. Brad Pitt Rosala to you over at the CNI.
Bringing me into some really light conversation. Oh my gosh. Sorry. I love hearing your voice. I was listening to what you were talking about and I'm like, oh my gosh, we're getting into the heavy stuff right away.
Oh yeah. Well, there's so much heavy stuff going on. I mean, that's the only thing I can say. It's just, it's getting really heavy around here. But boy, I tell you, there's nothing more heavy than the sentiment that people have in the CNMI and for the CNMI over this weather that's about to come upon us this weekend. What are y'all talking about on that end? What's the frustration level, if there is one?
Well, I'll tell you what, everybody, if they hadn't been one before, everyone has spent the night at a Holiday Inn Express last night and has become a meteorologist from watching all the apps. You pick an app, you name it. If it's colorful, it's scary.
Yeah.
And so everybody is glued to it. But, all kidding aside, we are watching all of this. We just got that weather alert this morning from National Weather Service because Joint Typhoon Warning Center said, hey, it's now high for development, and we're looking at likely passage over the Marianas on Sunday or Monday. Now, what is that going to look like? Not sure yet. We just got off the phone with Paul Stanko from National Weather Service, and he said that we're looking at the big likely region is just south of Guam to just north of Pagan. My goodness, that's like 400 miles. So it could be anywhere, but it looks like no matter where it goes, everybody out here is going to get some wind and some rain. Mm-hmm. Just not sure how strong that wind is going to be. And hopefully, if whatever it is, it just keeps going and passes through instead of parking and camping for a little while like the last one.
So this morning at 7 o'clock, and I guess you got the latest news that 95W, we are under Invest 95W, is over eastern Micronesia. A tropical cyclone formation alert has been issued, and any other weather statements that we're talking about for Pohnpei, Koshrai, Majuro. Residents across Guam and Sinai, stay tuned, watch closely, be prepared is what the latest says. But there's been some gradual development in eastern Micronesia with a broad cyclonic flow extending well north and south. We all know these terms. Right, you say these terms in a sentence, and everybody's ears perked up, and I am not surprised that anybody between Guam and mostly in the Sinai have become forecasters because the instinct is there. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're all paying attention to it. By the way, Cyclonic Flow, wasn't that a great song by Pearl Jam?
It was an awesome song, honestly. Cyclonic Flow. It's like I don't know why it didn't break in the top 500. I really don't, but.
Go ahead.
No. You just sent me this weather alert for the NMI News Service. Your status is TCFA issued, odds raised to high. Is that how you're doing it? That's pretty cool. It's very basic.
That's it.
I like that. Okay.
It's like Vegas. That's it.
Okay.
But that's what they gave us. So we just kind of put it together. So I just sent you our little news graphic so you can see exactly what we were looking at and like how we process it. And that's up on our social media. That's up on our website.
That's good to know.
Along with the story about it.
Yeah, that's good to know. He did say this morning. We talked to Landon Eidlin, and he did say this morning that a tropical depression is likely to be called. In the next several hours. So true to the statement, it happened around 7 o'clock this morning. What are you guys doing? I mean, what do you prepare for when you already don't have anything?
That's just a great question. I can tell you because I don't have power at my house yet.
Yeah.
So my family's also gone on vacation without me. I'll catch up to them. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I used to be able to bank on them taking care of a lot of that stuff while we're knocking all this stuff out. Yeah. So what are we going to do? We're going to keep watching everything. In fact, sitting off to my left, I can see we have our director for Homeland Security Emergency Management. He's going to be coming on with us after the call, and we're going to hear more from them about what Saipan, Tinian, and Rhoda are going to do to prepare for this. In the meantime, you've got, depending on what the winds are going to be, we've still got 4 figures worth of people living in tents here in Saipan. Their everythings are in one of these FEMA tents. And when we go back to 8 years ago, I still remember sitting in the Emergency Operations Center as the governor or lieutenant governor at the time was getting all the department heads and getting everyone together to say, hey, we got to reopen up the shelters, so we got to flatten these tents, put them away, and then get them set back up. And they had to do this multiple times, and what they ended up doing was really it was a great exercise for everybody. Thankfully, we didn't get hit again after U2 in the immediate aftermath. But these guys had to set up and drop tents. And the last time, there's no way you can drop that many tents that fast. It is not. it's not like it's an empty tent. These are where everybody's belongings are, and where are they going to put those also? So there's so much to consider with all this that it's hard to prepare. So we're going to find out what those are instead of just figuring, taking a guess. I mean, I got some ideas, but I think we're going to find out more about this storm from what Paul was telling us. We're going to find out more around 1 o'clock, and we'll find out if there's going to be a next tier warning, and that's going to give us a lot of directions. Fortunately for us, that we have a lot of resources on the ground right now. There's still like thousands of cases of water that are here. So in the event that we end up losing it, then we got that. The other thing I would hope that, like CUC, our utilities corporation, you've got your GPA and your Guam Waterworks. We're all rolled up to one in CUC. We did some things differently leading up to Sinlaku that ran counter to what we had found out that the best practices were. So I think that they're going to see what didn't work 2 months ago and go back to what did work as far as like shoring up the water supplies, making sure that those reservoirs are off before the storm rolls through, so that in the aftermath, they don't have to wait to be able to pump water. They're still going to be able to distribute water to folks by having those filling stations open right away. And they're already, because, they knocked the dust off of those books with the policies and all that. They already know where the filling stations are. They know what works, and they're going to be able to put that together. So in the event that calamity does ensue, at least we got a better way to bounce back, and hopefully we're not too far back, like all the way back. So if anything terrible does happen, at least it won't be too far down for us and too much of a hill to recover. At least I hope.
Well,
at least I hope so.
Yeah. And by comparison, are you getting the idea that this is not of the same strength or category that we experienced that you experienced mostly in Sinlaku?
Well, I didn't stay in the Holiday Express last night, so I'm not sure. But I did the same thing. I became a amateur meteorologist, which gets me no credits at no university.
I think they call it I think they call you guys a meteorologist.
Oh,
you like that? I didn't make it up.
Good one.
Yeah, that I wish I could take credit for it, but that's actually regurgitated. And these are people who are really not meteorologists, but they act like them, and they fetch an audience because they're so animated and so much more, I guess, entertaining than Paul Stanko and Landon Idlett, right? So
yeah. Hold on.
Meteorologist.
I'm sending that to Landon right now.
Yeah,
I
got that from him. He's the one.
Really?
Yeah, I keep asking to repeat it because I think what was happening in Sinlaku, which they were very frustrated about was the competing, online or YouTubers or TikTokers that were fetching these large audiences because they were providing sexy forecasts. And so they had all of the bells and the whistles and all of the colors. So they were drawing these crowds. And so people were referring to the information that they were getting from these meteorologists and ignoring what was happening on the National Weather Service. And he made the point that the National Weather Service is the only authority that can make warnings and watches and send out all of this information, alerts and things like that. So you may be hearing like the sexy version of devastation and all of that, but you're not hearing that there are actually warnings and watches associated with it. So it's a miscommunication. On Guam, though, maybe not so much of a big deal. We all opine about everything, but we know where to go when the chips are down, right? We know we're trying to survive, right? So we're going to go with the government to tell us what these warnings are. But anyway, meteorologists, those are what they're called, and I'm glad you're one of them.
Yeah. Well, we also followed those guys too because it was fun, and then we had one of them. By the way, one of those guys who's doing that weather stuff, Paul Spetta. He was on our show. And here's the cool thing. He's from the Buffalo, New York area also.
Oh, look at you.
This camaraderie. I'm like, no way. You got to be kidding me.
Well done. So how cool was that? You guys were able to swap childhood stories about living in the hood.
Oh, yeah, that's it. That was us. We were gangsters,
That's
rolling, cruising down the street in my 6'4".
That's right. Yeah.
It was good stuff. I won't do the rest of that song, but it's a good one. But anyway, we're going to get real good info on this storm probably around 1 o'clock today when they put out their next update. As far as the local stuff that we've got, again, we've got Clement Bermudez, Special Director for the Homeland Security Emergency Management on deck. So he's going to give us a real game plan here, what to do. Then he's also going to do a whole bunch of push-ups. He said that he's going to do for everyone. I'm just watching him laugh for that one. And we're going to see what happens. I'll tell you what, though, I won't lie. Over the past couple of months, every time the wind has picked up and rattled those shutters and rattled that little piece of curled up tin that we got on our little porch, I have definitely had those little PTSD moments like, geez, come on.
Yeah.
I don't want that. And I'm not looking forward to it. But, here's what I do know. The people of the Marianas are remarkable. What we're going to do for each other, no matter what happens, is going to be great. The support that we get from folks from all around the world has been amazing and inspiring. People who've never even been here reached out and did fundraisers. I spoke with someone just last night whose niece had never been here. She's out there in California. She's Chamorro, but she's never been out here.
Wow.
And she has no ties to Saipan. She did a fundraiser just last weekend, just for folks who are out here. It's an incredible community that we got. Yeah. And no matter what happens in the next week, we're going to get through it, and we'll be fine. But it's going to suck probably for a little bit. We'll see how it works.
Well, I mean, and Dice was reminding me this morning that it's your Liberation Day on July 4th. And so talk to me about have there been any plans canceled or anything like that?
So because this warning just came out at 7:09 this morning, I don't think that they've made any decisions yet. I haven't received the email for it yet. I'll put it that way. Yeah. And in our little Facebook group WhatsApp group for the Joint Information Center, nothing's come out about that yet. But we're going to hear about it. I'm sure we're going to hear stuff from the mayor's office. Usually, what they end up doing, they've been crushing to try to make this thing work, but they don't want anybody to be in harm's way to spoil anything. So they'll probably act out of, precaution, but I think they might, slow drag it a little bit to see what really happens in the next day or so.
Well, we obviously wish and hope and pray that nothing will happen in the next several days. We're always thinking of y'all up there. Brett, are you leaving anytime soon on vacation? Are you hightailing it out of there before this starts? Or are you in there for the haul?
So I'm supposed to next week, later in the week, but and that's what I'm mulling. So if it turns into something, you roll through all the things. Like if it was something nasty that really got us and it damaged the airport, of course, you can't go anywhere, so that's it, and you just do it. And then what's the job? The job isn't leaving when it's like this; it's staying and getting us through all that stuff. And so I was prepping Kathy for it. I'm like, babe, if something happens, I don't think I can go. We're going to see. So we'll see. That's it. I wouldn't leave before it. I wouldn't want to miss. It would be, plus the story would be something significant too about like who gets hit with two of these things within like 3 months.
God.
So, I want to be a part of that recovery too. Like being part of here. It's part of that. I was there. I was a part of that. We were there. We got through it together. So no matter like what political party you're in, like who you're cheering for, whatever, just watching everybody, there's no picking sides. The side is here and everybody working together. It's something powerful. So I wouldn't leave for that.
I'm going to take that bite and put it on an epitaph or a T-shirt or something. Babe, heads up. This is my job. Hey, Brad, always good, brother, to talk to you. I hope that you go on vacation and take some time away, and all the things that we wish for the great people of the CNMI. We do appreciate you being on the air as frequently as you are on this case. I am watching you. You look real. I like your fit. Your little muscles are showing very nicely on the Saying hello to Josh Wise. I haven't seen him in ages, and he just said hello on there. So yeah, you're looking
He
good.
said he misses you.
Yeah, I see that. Send Piggy. Okay. I appreciate this, Brad. Have a wonderful weekend and happy liberation to the scene of mine.
Hey, thanks. And shout outs to Dice. I'm telling you, whenever she answers the phone, I am instantly brought back to like the golden age of great radio shows in the morning in the CNMI when I got to hear her so entertaining, like amazing, like engaging with the folks who are on there, the jokes, the everything.
Yeah.
Love hearing Dice. Love hearing Dice.
Love you guys.
You guys
Take it easy,
you guys got both of our superstars with Dice and JoJo Camacho over there. He's not even in radio anymore, but that guy's still amazing.
Well, hey, if you like what you heard back then, listen to her on Power 98 from 2 until 6, and she's also on TikTok. So it's really great to see her behind the scenes and where that energy comes from. I have no idea because she's here before the crack of dawn, and then she stays all the way until the end of the day. So she's she's young, so whatever.
Sounds like you're throwing down some lyrics right there. I
feel
love
like
it.
it.
We're ready for the new song.
Joshua says he'll visit. Okay, Josh, you got to come on the radio with me. I appreciate that. All right, we're good. We're good, Brad. Take good care, my friend.
Yeah. Hey, thanks so much. Have a great day. Take care, Guam. Love you guys.
Love you guys too up in the CNMI. Take good care. We're a little bit late, but hey, whatever. It was Brad Rizala, and it was the CNMI. We just got to do what we got to do. 809 KGUM-FM in Dedido, Guam.
AP News, I'm Ed Donahue. The Supreme Court has upheld a broad conception of birthright citizenship, rejecting President Trump's executive order that declared children born to parents who are in the U.S. illegally or temporarily are not American citizens. Cody Wofsy at the ACLU says it's encouraging.
There's a lot of pain in the country right now, particularly among those targeted communities. But I think that decisions like today's can give us all a real measure of hope that we can hold the line when it matters most. We can push back and achieve a measure of justice for vulnerable populations who are being targeted.
The Supreme Court is upholding state laws barring transgender girls and women from playing on school athletic teams in another setback for transgender people. The High Court also erased limits on how potential parties can spend in coordination with candidates for Congress and president, striking down a federal election law that's more than 50 years old. New Jersey Republican Congressman Tom Keene Jr. revealed the reason for his 4-month absence from the House.
I was given the diagnosis of depression. Now, when people hear the word depression, many people think simply it means feeling sad. But depression is so much more than that.
California Democrat Pete Aguilar says Keene could have been more transparent.
Hiding it and cloak and dagger and where in the world is Tom Keene is just a little weird for, I think, all of us to understand.
Publisher Simon & Schuster says regime change inside the imperial presidency of Donald Trump sold more than 300,000 copies in its opening week. Norway beat Ivory Coast 2-1 to move ahead at the World Cup. On Wall Street, stocks are higher at the closing bell. More information at apnews.com. This is AP News. LeBron James will play a record 24th season in the NBA, but not in Los Angeles for the Lakers.
The league's all-time leading scorer will move on after 8 seasons in LA. The next stop could be with his 4th different franchise. After starting in Cleveland, James made his famous decision, moving to Miami in 2010 and joining Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh.
The best opportunity to win.
2 titles later, he was back in Cleveland.
Exciting for the fans, exciting for the city.
And 4 years later, headed to Los Angeles, where a playoff loss last year led to retirement questions.
I don't know. I don't have the answer to that.
He was back in LA this year for a record 23rd season. James now has a slew of options, including Golden State, where he's close with Coach Steve Kerr, Steph Curry, and Draymond Green. I'm Sagar Magani.
You're listening to Mornings with Patti, where the conversation belongs to everyone.
Half a day, Guam. This is Paul Stanko with your National Weather Service. There could be slight increases in showers tonight and Thursday night. Otherwise, mainly isolated showers will combine with east winds 5 to 10 miles per hour that will turn northeast by Thursday and north by Saturday. Winds could increase to windy levels or higher Sunday and Monday, with showers likely. A moderate risk of rip currents along east-facing reefs could become high Sunday and Monday. There will be a limited threat of flooding put out by the National Water Center, and the fire danger could rise to moderate Friday, perhaps just to be crushed on Sunday and Monday. The latest weather information is always available at www.weather.gov/GUM.
Explore, snap, and share for a chance to win a round-trip ticket to Taiwan. Join the Guam Photo Hunt and visit iconic landmarks and hidden gems island-wide. The more locations you photograph, the more chances you have to win exciting prizes. Learn more and submit to win online at visitguam.com/photo hunt. Terms and conditions apply. Explore, snap, and rediscover Guam. Brought to you by the Guam Visitors Bureau.
Alrighty, Guam. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. Mornings with Patti right here on the Wave 105 FM. We are streaming online at thewave105.com as well as our YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, and do follow Wave 105.1 FM Guam. And the show this morning is being brought to you by Subway. Eat fresh in just a few clicks. Order online at subwaypacific.com for pickup at your convenience or for delivery right at your doorstep. Online ordering at subwaypacific.com is powered by Good to Go. We deliver at Subway. You gotta refresh to be fresh. Bank Pacific, where others place branches, we place roots. Visit bankpacific.com today. GTA, we start with you. Mobile gas stations turn every fuel stop into rewards with Mobile Smiles. Download the app today for exclusive offers and faster rewards at the pump. Mobile Smiles, fuel up and save. Take Care Insurance Company, our island, your health plan. Triple J Auto Group right now at Triple J Ford. Get a free $500 cash card when you drive home with a new Ford truck. Visit triplejguam.com and get pre-approved instantly. Shop, dine, and relax at the Agania Shopping Center, your destination for food, fun, and local favorites all year long. Patch Tinting and Detailing for all your special interior cleaning. Call 483-7522. Code 1 Store is your tactical shop for public safety and everyday gear, serving Guam since 1999. Shop 511 Tactical and Condor Outdoor, plus steel toe footwear. Stop by Code 1 Store today. And Chili's Grill and Bar at Chili's. More life, great food, and memories happen here.
One of our biggest problems today is that we are afraid to have others challenge our mindset, and therefore we avoid topics that could lead to challenging conversations. At a young age, we're told not to talk about anything that is remotely divisive, but without having challenging conversations, how do you know that what you're saying is your truth and not just something you were raised to believe? Having conversations is how we learn. It's important to be able to see the other sides of things in order to form an opinion and choose what's best for you. Let's say you were raised to shower with all your clothes on. You could go throughout life thinking that is the best way to get clean, and if you never meet anyone brave enough to talk about hygiene, then you may never know that there is a better way. There's no reason to be afraid of differences. Limiting yourself to certain topics can render yourself unable to talk to friends, coworkers, or even family. To avoid challenging conversations is the same as to keep your mind trapped in a little box. Open your box and start having more civic conversations.
Civility. It's an American thing. From AmericanThing.org.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
The road to Adelup is here, and this time we spoke with Democrat candidates, Senator Torius Terlahi and Senator Sabina Perez. Here is your opportunity to hear how they plan to govern Guam. Watch the conversation on Wave 105's YouTube channel, dated May 28th. This is a glimpse of Guam radio station.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the show hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the staff or management of Wave 105.1 FM, Glimpses Media, or our partners. We strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, and we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105.1 FM. Enjoy the show.
Wave 105, the talk of Guam, a Glimpses of Guam radio station.
At GTA, there's no fine print favorites, no new customers only, no almost everyone, because everyone gets our best deal. Right now, sign up for any unlimited plan and get up to $400 off a premium smartphone. Yep, same deal, same savings. No hoops, no hassle. Switch, upgrade, or start fresh. No matter how you join, you win. Come into GTA today because the best deal, it's for everyone. Terms and conditions apply. GTA, we start with you.
Hafaday, Guam! The Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association invites you to the Fair Trade Show, Guam's premier hospitality and food service event. Join us August 19th and 20th at the Hyatt Regency Guam from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Experience hands-on training sessions and exciting culinary competitions featuring professionals, apprentices, and pastry talent. Discover new products, connect with suppliers, and celebrate Guam's hospitality industry. Don't miss Fair 2026. Visit GHRA.org for details.
Rise and shine with Roots Breakfast Buffet. Served daily from 6:30 to 9:30 a.m. at Guam Plaza Resort. Seniors enjoy 15% off for a limited time. Save your spot now. Call 671-649-7760 to reserve.
Celebrating America's 250th birthday. In 1936, one man shattered the myth of Nazi superiority. Jesse Owens, the grandson of a slave, competed in the Olympics in Germany that year.
Ohio State's phenomenal Jesse Owens again takes the spotlight as he sprints for the takeoff in the broad jump.
Adolf Hitler wanted to show the world that the Aryan race was racially superior, but 22-year-old Owens destroyed that lie by winning an unprecedented 4 gold medals. He proved to the world that excellence is not confined to one race or nationality.
After the fanfares of the Olympic opening comes the most amazing performance by America's Jesse Owens in the 100 meters. The world's most superb runner makes the others look as if they're walking as he wins the final and equals the world's record time. This and his later victory in the long jump may well be the athletic performances of the century.
The competition was grand, and we're very glad to come out on top. Thank you very kindly.
He returned to the United States where discrimination was still rampant, but his achievements were an important stepping stone on the road to civil rights for all.
The road to Adelup is off and running. This time, we sit down with Republican candidate Speaker Frank Blass and Dr. Mary Okada. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 7th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. Stay informed and hear their vision for Guam's future. Wave 105 is a Glimpses of Guam radio station.
This is where Guam comes to talk. Wave 105, a Glimpses of Guam radio station.
Feeling hot, summer smoke a lime. Mirror says, woo, gonna do some harm. I'm the one, yeah, I bring the charm. Step aside, let a real one through. Thunder in my walk, lightning in my shoes. Just to watch, baby, I'm the view.
105.1 The Wave is the talk of Guam. Keep that good vibe going. Right here on Mornings with Patti.
Watch me do it like, I do it like, I do it like.
8:21. I do it like this. I do it like this. Weekend coming up, and we've got a tropical cyclone formation alert that came out at 7:00, and that's just basically giving us more information about alert saying that there's that we've been in a tropical depression. So all of the graphics are showing some daunting images of what's going to happen. We're not going to inundate you for the next hour on what this is all going to look like. There's so many things that are unknown. And I want to say that sometimes we overstate things because we want to make sure that, people know, but we also have to realize that in these islands, it is possible to over-inform people who already know. I'm not saying that it's irresponsible to not distribute or disseminate accurate information. It's the frequency by which it happens. Sometimes, in my experiences in this media, that sometimes it makes it more difficult for people to turn it off, I guess is the best way to say it. If we're constantly talking about it, you sort of become desensitized to the constant warnings, and they change, but they change it sort of like systematically. There's a time frame by which these emergency managers will be able to send out notices. And sometimes when you beat it into people so often, then then they don't hear it anymore, right? I know you know what I'm talking about. It's just like over information. I know, I get it. And for so many seasoned Guamanians, you don't necessarily have to be Chamorro, you know this, right? But for seasoned Guamanians, they understand what the scenario looks like, right? When it's not like a tornado fast approaching, right? Or a tidal wave that takes some time to reach your shore. It's not like an earthquake either, because there's just no warning of something like that. But when things gradually become worse, and at these certain points of this, you're going to be in a constant state of being prepared, right? You have time to make sure that you're going to be prepared. And some will look at these images, these graphics, and say, oh, okay, yeah, I've seen this scenario before. The thing about that really probably creates some kind of, sense of importance more than others is that Landon said this morning, this one has me spooked. And I don't think he meant spooked as in this is scaring me. Did you get that did you get that impression that he thought he was like scared, or he got him spooked because he more like jarred?
Yeah.
That it was like some of the unknown factors are presenting, in different ways, that it's difficult to make a more broader kind of forecast or a prediction.
I think it's sitting on a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah, sitting on a lot of uncertainty. Right. So it makes sense, that in a timely fashion you'll start to hear as the hours wear on, because anybody can take a look at any of these images, even if you're not just looking at the National Weather Service. Nobody's telling you, the National Weather Service is the only place that you can find this information. There are many credible sites where this information is available. The only reason why we tend to stick with the National Weather Service, because it is sanctioned by the government, and that they are the authority when it comes to warning people about certain parts of about a potential disaster, where the government takes action, like closing things or changing the status of a condition of readiness. We know what the structure is of when government employees go home. We know when Payless is going to close, right? We know, based on the condition of readiness, what action the government takes in order for people and the private sector to make decisions, especially when it comes to retail. And, on this one, the only thing that is so unknown, and is really a crapshoot, is when events are going to take place. Like, do we cancel the fireworks, or are they saying it's going to move until Sunday and maybe we're still going to be okay? Or are we banking on the fact that there won't be clear skies where they might normally, and then the fireworks are going to shoot it off and we're spending thousands of dollars and nobody can see them? Do we cancel the entire event for the safety of the people, because we don't actually want them coming out for an event when there's really not going to, it'll be an uncomfortable rainy day, right? So if I was an organizer right now, I'd be a little bit nervous.
I feel you.
You pour in all of this, right?
It's a lot.
The race judicata, which was for Law Month back during the Sinlaku time, was canceled because of the weather. This is now going to take place in, somewhere in July, because we all assume that a couple months later in July, in the summer months, it might be free and clear. This El Nino thing has got everybody all worked up, right? You just don't know what's going to happen, and that's the thing. I don't even know what to do.
I know.
Honestly,
it's like what?
I just called in this morning. I was like, tell the lawn guy to come. You know what I mean? I mean, the grass isn't that bad because it's been a little bit drier, but I'd rather have him do it than him being unavailable in the event that he's out with other customers clearing land, or somebody's brush because it was blown over. So I'm like, get him in there and have him fix up stuff, right? And so that's one less thing we have to worry about is falling trees or bushes and things like that. So that's like the extent of my preparedness at the moment. I don't know what else to do.
That's right. No, that's fair.
I guess we got to
That's
look
pretty
at the
accurate.
shutters and make sure that they're,
That's pretty accurate.
still standing up.
That's pretty accurate.
I'm just not, all of the other things, when you have most people have a sturdy place.
Okay.
Thousands of people don't, which is why they go to shelters. But when you know that your home is sound or it withstood, the winds from the last one, and all, you've got the right shutters or the boards or whatever you're doing to protect your property. Right. The only decision that you have to make is whether or not they're just as good as they were during the last storm. And sometimes people use wood. They use they use wood to cover their windows, right? I have shutters, and I also have these wood panels that I put up because the shutters it's not in a part of the house where there would be objects that would be flying. So we safeguard like the bigger windows and doors and stuff like that. But not all the time do we put them up for the smaller windows. Yeah. So now, I have, a lot of people have the luxury to have a generator.
That part.
It's quite the investment to have some sort of power source that is going to make sure that you're going to keep at least your phone charged during the day. So that might be an investment that somebody might want to take a look at. I'm kicking myself that I didn't do it after Sunlaku, but
let's just manifest that it goes in elsewhere, kind of breaks down before it drops on us, right? Let's just hope it. Right. Let's just hope it. You know what I mean? Let's hope it breaks down before it comes this direction, because there's always that possibility. So kind of like Lennon said, it's just the uncertainty. We don't know. But yeah, I agree. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready during the storm. Stay ready, then you won't have to get ready, guys.
That is so true. And I think that we're all
Stay ready.
I think we're all. I think most people are already, even if you know that you're going to, you live in a structure that is not sound and safe, right? And you know that you generally the whole exercise is to pack up your belongings and go to a shelter. If you're very clear on that, you have somewhere to go. And so even preparation for that is preparation, right? In the event, you always have to have that. Just as much as you have to have, whatever emergency preparedness stuff you have, and whatever if you have a typhoon bin, that people assemble like their necessities and keep them sort of in a storage container, so that if we have to pack up and roll to a shelter, we got our bin. We got our bin. So I don't tell you.
We'll just pray for good weather. Let's just stay on the good side of good weather. We just want some good weather, guys. Little showers, that'll be okay. If it's a tropical storm, we can handle that. But let's not get any typhoons, though, all right? Give us a tropical storm. That's fine. We can do that one. We can handle that one. Don't give us any more wind. No more wind. We're good with that.
No more wind, yeah.
Please, no more wind. No more
so,
wind.
The thing about it is that I think that the best laid plans, kind of go sour. And when you live under these kinds of conditions at this season, you have to kind of roll with it, right? I personally am preparing for a full house of my children all coming back for the summer. We're together at least two times a year, but somewhere else. And now they're all coming home. They're all coming home to their childhood bedrooms, right? They're all coming home to the places where they spent their childhood in their own bedrooms among their own things, right? So,
that will be exciting.
Unfortunately, that Tia doesn't know that when she moved out, we started using her room as a storage.
Oh, hey.
started using it as
that
storage room.
bedroom?
It
So,
started off with a couple suitcases, and then before I knew it, I was like, all of my formal evening wear has been stuffed in her closet, or somebody put some I have furniture in there. Do you need furniture?
No, I'm
Maybe
good.
I
I'm
should
good.
donate.
Yay.
I should donate. I have like a dining room table and chairs, wood chairs, and like a sideboard table. I should probably donate that. Where would I donate that to?
Yeah.
Because I was happy to give it out. Like I'm not calling all my friends. I was calling some friends who have properties that they rent out. Like, do you need furniture for your unit, right? I mean, maybe you're unfurnished and you rent that out. Do you need like new furniture? And they were like, nobody answered.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Nobody answered.
That's
so
right.
I'll just have to. I guess I can donate
I
it.
feel
to,
you. And then
yeah,
the
And
Molessu Festival is also supposed to be this
Yeah.
weekend. You know, I mean,
is that the
there's-
crab festival?
That is going to be that's actually going to be the Sea Festival.
Oh,
the Tassie Festival.
Tassie.
That's the Tassie Festival.
Oh, bro,
So there was some
that's
jet
a good
skiing.
one.
Yeah, so there was a lot. You know, people are expecting a lot. So there was going to be some jet skiing. So again, we're just hoping that we
Yeah.
get good weather. You know, shouts out to Molessu. So we're praying for some good weather, guys, because I know that you guys were also really excited for that. So
Yeah.
that was also supposed to be this weekend. It was going to be a 3-day weekend on that one too. So then you got the Molessu Veteran Sons and Daughters Pier Park. So that was going to be exciting. So we'll have to wait and see. You know,
Yeah.
they had spearfishing competitions. They were going to do some
Oh, that
canoeing.
sounds so much fun.
Right. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
got the Deladzas, the food trucks, the band. So again, you know, I'm like, so hopefully,
grr.
all right. So hopefully it still pulls through. So hopefully it does pull through because you
Yeah.
know planning the events are not easy. They get kind of pricey.
It takes a
It
lot.
gets pricey.
Yeah,
you know.
it takes a lot to do these things,
You know,
and
not
then when
everybody
it
gets
doesn't, it's
these
a big letdown.
refunds. They don't really refund like they used to. We don't get the. It's like well, since the storm came, can we? Nope, you guys, nope, you're not getting the refund. But the storm came. Nope.
Yeah, there's no protections. Totally no protections.
It's like really no refunds. No refunds. But we don't need the tents anymore. It's like you could pick up your canopies. Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see. That it's going to be interesting.
It's going to be interesting, but we're also very hopeful. So let's hope that
Yeah,
happens.
because they even had fireworks down there. So wow, yeah, Molessu was going to have.
Well, now
fireworks
that
too.
fireworks are legal,
Right?
Even if I don't think all the regulations have been intact, but aren't they still legal on Guam, or did they repeal that one?
I don't think that we can do fireworks. You know, I think we do it low key.
Oh, totally. That's the way that's the reason why they made it legal. But it was legal with the caveat that there had to be rules and regulations.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know whether or not they outward just repealed it, or that
Interesting.
they're still in the process of making
where are
rules.
they
Can
selling
somebody
these
help me?
bad boys out? Like, hey man, where you guys selling the
Well,
fireworks?
I think here's
It's
the
like,
thing.
Where do we buy 'em
I
at?
think that fireworks may be legal, but
where are we buying 'em at?
acquiring them is still on the black
Right?
market.
That's what I'm like, where are we getting them at? We're like, how'd you get your fireworks, dude?
Yeah, where'd you
It's
get it?
like,
Where's your
where'd
source,
you get your
bro?
fireworks, dude? How
Yeah.
did you get that here? It's like, how did you get those fireworks here? But yes, there were going to be fireworks and raffle drawings, food trucks, bands, and everything this
fun.
weekend. So yeah. I know. So again, we're just gonna hope for some good weather, guys. Come on, guys, prayer warriors. We're gonna need you, except for some of you guys that Jesus don't like. So please keep the prayers to yourself. Come on, please don't ruin it for us.
No
please.
kidding.
But yes, it's gonna be a great weekend nonetheless, and it's gonna be a 4-day weekend. So I know Home Depot's gonna be crowded again. Prepare. Stay ready, guys. Stay ready.
Yeah. Well, 8:36. We'll go ahead and give you a little bit of a break from us and then come back on the other side. We'll be right back.
Get ready to unleash your best punchlines and share a laugh. We're celebrating the surprising political power of humor. Welcome to the National Day Spotlight for July 1st.
In the royal courts of the Middle Ages, kings ruled with terrifying, bloody authority. One wrong word to the monarch usually meant a quick execution for treason. But there was one person in the castle who could look the king dead in the eye and call his new policies completely stupid: the court jester. While wealthy dukes trembled in silence, the guy wearing the bell hat held a unique, legally protected status known as jester's privilege. It allowed them to use brutal comedy to expose corruption and voice the public's complaints without losing their heads. So, as we look back on International Joke Day, we remember that comedy has a surprisingly noble past. History proves that sometimes the smartest person in the room is the one wearing the clown shoes.
So, are you going to try some Jester's privilege lines on the rest of us today?
Don't I always have that privilege here?
Yeah, you pretty much do.
It's just that today I get to wear the clown shoes.
Yes, you do.
And the bell hat.
We are also celebrating National Creative Ice Cream Flavor Day and National Ginger Snap Day. I'm Alice Anderson.
And I'm Marlo Anderson with National Day Calendar, reminding you to celebrate every day.
If you're looking for world-class website hosting at a fair price, Pair Networks is your best choice. Founded in the early days of the web and still going strong today, Pair Networks now hosts over 150,000 websites for its demanding customers worldwide. Setting the standards for excellence, Pair Networks has a technical and support staff that's second to none. A highly stable company with top-of-the-line technology, Pair Networks offers total reliability and flexibility for your website, and even a money-back guarantee. Whether you're a professional web designer or a beginner just getting your site online, Pair Networks has a web hosting plan that's right for you. Make the move today. Log on and learn more at pair.com. That's PAIR.com. Pair Networks. World-class web hosting at a fair price. Visit us at pair.com. Pair Networks.
And we're live here outside the Perez family home, just waiting for the... And there they go, almost on time this morning. Mom is coming out the front door strong with a double-arm kid carry. Looks like Dad has the bags. Daughter is bringing up the rear. Oh, but the diaper bag wasn't closed. Diapers and toys are everywhere. Ooh, but Mom has just nailed the perfect car seat buckle for the toddler. And now the eldest daughter, who looks to be about 9 or 10, has secured herself in the booster seat. Dad zips the bag closed, and they're off. But looks like Mom doesn't realize her coffee cup is still on the roof of the car. And there it goes. Oh, that's a shame. That mug was a fam favorite.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Just nail the big stuff. Like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Learn more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
As parents, we have a million things running through our minds. Playdates, checkups, groceries, laundry, diapers, work, carpool schedules, picture day, swim team, did we mention diapers, birthday parties, meal prep, lost permission slips, dentist appointments, and the dog that still needs to be walked. So it's easy to make a mistake. Oh, I forgot birthday candles. Sit tight, hon, I'll be right back. We say we'd never put our kids in danger by leaving them in the car alone. Oh, wait, since when are candles not on the baking aisle? But never happens. And temperatures as low as 60 degrees can be deadly for children left behind. So always bring them with you, and every time you park the car, stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
It all connects. The girl who walks for hours to bring home the family's water, the school she can't attend most days, the breakfast she didn't have, the rain that hasn't fallen in months, the danger around the next bend, her little brother's belly laugh, her mother's hug, her dreams of being a teacher, an engineer, the mayor. All the reasons life is both so hard and so beautiful. It all connects. But so do we, for children's sakes. At Child Fund, we connect through everything we do, together, so every child can grow up healthy, educated, and safe. Because we need each other. Learn more at childfund.org.
We are all for first-time guests and longtime friends. All for First Light and Starlight. For road trips and trail runs. All for mountaintops and monuments, river bends and battlefields. We're all for showing up and giving back. To protect, to preserve, to pass it on. All parks depend on us, and we're all for parks. Join us at nationalparks.org/allforparks.
A message from Joshua Jackson, actor and Fair Volunteer Ambassador.
Food allergy is a serious, life-threatening disease that impacts over 33 million Americans. When your immune system sees certain food proteins as a threat, every bite matters. But here's the good news. There have been advancements in the treatment of food allergies, and with one voice, we can create better awareness. Because in the FAIR community, the disease doesn't own us. We own our journey. Talk to an allergist to understand your options. Visit foodallergy.org/empower to learn more.
Hi, human. I'm a micro monster swimming around in your plastic water bottle. But I can't wait to swim in your bloodstream soon.
Microplastics are micro monsters.
Drink me. Wait, what are you doing?
But you can fight back by using glass or metal reusable water bottles.
No!
Don't let microplastic micro monsters invade your body. Find more ways to fight back at stopmicromonsters.org.
Every 16 seconds, an American receives a cancer diagnosis, and every minute of every day, another person loses their life to cancer. That's why Stand Up to Cancer has set a bold goal to make early stage detection an essential part of standard of care for all cancers. So often, if cancer is detected early, the chance of long-term survival is 90%. So if we all support cancer research, more than 2 million lives can be saved in the next decade. So join the mission and help save lives today at standuptocancer.org.
The road to Adelup is off and running. This time, we sit down with Republican candidate Speaker Frank Blass and Dr. Mary Okada. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 7th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. Stay informed and hear their vision for Guam's future. Wave 105 is a glimpses of Guam radio station.
This is where Guam comes to talk. Wave 105, a glimpses of Guam radio station.
Get ready to unleash your best punchlines and share a laugh. We're celebrating the surprising political power of humor. Welcome to the National Day Spotlight for July 1st.
In the royal courts of the Middle Ages, kings ruled with terrifying, bloody authority. One wrong word to the monarch usually meant a quick execution for treason. But there was one person in the castle who could look the king dead in the eye and call his new policies completely stupid: the court jester. While wealthy dukes trembled in silence, the guy wearing the bell hat held a unique, legally protected status known as jester's privilege. It allowed them to use brutal comedy to expose corruption and voice the public's complaints without losing their heads. So, as we look back on International Joke Day, we remember that comedy has a surprisingly noble past. History proves that sometimes the smartest person in the room is the one wearing the clown shoes.
So, are you going to try some jester's privilege lines on the rest of us today?
Don't I always have that privilege here?
Yeah, you pretty much do.
It's just that today I get to wear the clown shoes.
Yes, you do.
And the bell hat.
We are also celebrating National Creative Ice Cream Flavor Day and National Ginger Snap Day. I'm Alice Anderson.
And I'm Marlo Anderson with National Day Calendar, reminding you to celebrate every day.
If you're looking for world-class website hosting at a fair price, Pair Networks is your best choice. Founded in the early days of the web and still going strong today, Pair Networks now hosts over 150,000 websites for its demanding customers worldwide. Setting the standards for excellence, Pair Networks has a technical and support staff that's second to none. A highly stable company with top-of-the-line technology, Pair Networks offers total reliability and flexibility for your website, and even a money-back guarantee. Whether you're a professional web designer or a beginner just getting your site online, Pair Networks has a web hosting plan that's right for you. Make the move today. Log on and learn more at pair.com. That's PAIR.com. Pair Networks. World-class web hosting at a fair price. Visit us at pair.com. Pair Networks.
More than radio, it's Guam's group chat, Wave 105. Join the conversation. Glimpses Media.
I wake up every morning at the break of
Oh, hello, Temptations. I know it isn't the Temptations, but is it like a Temptations wannabe?
Well, they were all at Clive Davis's funeral, so you know what I mean. It
Clive
was
Davis didn't die?
Patty, where have you been?
When did he die?
Clive Davis? Like the Clive Davis?
Yeah.
Yes, Patty.
When did he die?
Like last week.
That's what I thought I saw on
His
TikTok.
funeral was like yesterday or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. Well, actually, I just saw TikTok of Stevie Wonder's wife, and they're like, Stevie Wonder's wife arrives for the Clive Davis tribute, but I thought that was a Clive Davis, hey, he's a great songwriter, I mean, a great producer kind of thing.
It's Stevie Wonder. I swear we need more etiquette.
His wife was there.
Hold on, I showed his speech and it was in Braille.
Shut up. You're a joke. You're making a joke.
I did. I said we are so disrespectful.
You're so mean. That is pretty bad.
Sometimes you shouldn't be on TikTok. You know, it's like, why would you guys post this? I'm just saying. People are. I can't.
People. No,
it's
honestly,
like, who
it
raised
is.
You people. It's like
they are so funny.
They did it. They're like, okay, let's just see his words, kind words from Stevie Wonder. And it was all in
my God.
Braille. I said, TikTok, I'm logging out. I had to log out. I was like, yeah, this is not yet.
That's too dang funny, though. I got to tell you.
It was pretty wild, you know what I mean? And it's TikTok. But yes, Clive Davis, he had
what is wrong with me? Where was I? Oh, I was in the hospital. Maybe that's why I didn't know.
That's okay.
I wasn't paying attention to it.
That's all right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, like Bruce Springsteen. Let me think. Usher. Alicia Keys. Yeah, you know what
I
mean?
Oh, the
They had
Used.
yeah.
The Used.
There you go.
Yeah, okay. They were all
was
doing.
there, and I was like, all of a sudden. It's like, oh, I haven't seen you in a while. Okay. It's like, ooh, okay. You had like the BET Awards, so that was also just as exciting, too.
I watched parts of the BET Awards.
You didn't do the BET Awards, Patty.
Well, I mean, I saw parts
Lauryn
of it.
Hill, Janet Jackson.
I saw Janet Jackson give something to Tiana Taylor. Was it her, Tiana Taylor? Or
I
something?
feel like she got surgery done. Did Janet get? She got some surgery
I
done.
mean,
it's okay.
I
mean,
saw
we don't-
Barry Manilow. I know
Yeah?
you don't know who that is.
Okay, all right. Well, name a song, and then I bet you I know them. Just sing a little
I write
bit.
the songs that make the
A different one. Okay, let's choose a different track.
whole
Track number 2.
sing.
Track number 2.
I write the
Track number 3. Move on. Track
at
number
the Copa.
Okay.
Copacabana.
See there. Okay, I get that.
God, I had to go through the entire playlist.
All right, track number 4 sounds more familiar. Okay, track 4 it is. But yes, the BET Awards was also just as exciting. Lauryn Hill came out. You know, Jamie Foxx and his daughter was actually singing on stage. You know, there was a lot of kids doing a lot of tributes, and I think it was to D'Angelo. And that was right.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait. They were,
Rewind.
that's
Jamie
kind of
Foxx.
late, isn't it? Didn't he die last year? or
Yeah,
the year
so he
before?
got. I think he got like the Vanguard Award.
Oh.
I think it was like for the Vanguard Award went to like D'Angelo. So then you had like all these celebrities and all their kids were like singing all their covers.
When I saw that first video that he did,
Okay.
where he was pretty much naked,
Right.
I've never seen cuts on a man like that before.
He was super
I mean,
naked.
listen,
He
I'm
was
not,
super naked.
I'm not stuck in in an ivory tower, but I've never seen a physique like that before.
That beat was going all the way down to the
Tell
beat.
you what, I didn't even hear the song. I just was wondering whether they're going to lower the camera. I was like, bro, why are we fixated on that one last ab at the bottom? I've never seen that muscle there before. You know what I'm talking about?
Hey, it was
I
going down there.
have the overhang, but I don't. It's not sculpted like. That's like muscle. Mine's got baby fat on it, and I'm literally mean from
his
birth and baby.
perfectly chiseled body. I'm like, oh, vomit. I was like, I'm throwing up. Whatever.
And the thing about it, you know how he died?
No. Was this like another one in the bathroom, like
No.
showers? Because for some reason,
No.
it's
Well,
like anybody in a swimming
If you're going to
pool.
talk about Clive Davis, he's got at least 2 under his for that. No, he was so fixated on his weight.
Okay.
Because when he did that video of him with his physique on full display,
Okay.
it's like the physique was the video that won the award, but the song was like, I don't know what the song is, right? Nobody. I mean, it was just that he was so obsessed with his physique
Got you.
when he couldn't keep up with it. He just thought that was enough of a definition of himself. That no matter if his body, as he gets older,
Yes.
clearly his fat sticks where it sticks.
Right.
you can't live with a body like that all your life. I mean, there are things that happen, and naturally things happen. And so he became very overweight.
That's like genuine Mr. Pony, but now he's on a buffalo.
Why did he go for the bigger animal? Was that like a thing?
Because, he's a little fluffy now. It's like genuine.
How would he get his fat dog on a buffalo as opposed to a skinny? Oh, he would break the horse's back. I get it. Has he gained weight?
He's a little more fluffy now. He put on a little bit. He's got some fluff. I was like, oh my God.
Somehow or another, him on a buffalo doesn't have the same sort of sound as the song.
No, it's like, we were riding a pony. Now it's a buffalo. It's
bruh.
No, I'm good. Next track.
Well, then you see that, like you said, like was Janet Jackson had like a little bit of work done.
A little bit of work done.
I think like Madonna has had work done. She's kind of not. She's not. But she didn't age gracefully.
No,
you know what I
didn't.
mean? She went from Madonna to like this other person that it seemed to be like, I mean, really aged.
Right, yeah.
And I don't mean age. I don't mean that I'm a woman who's aged. I'm not. I would never be a person who would criticize or judge another woman's aging. There's just no way that's going to happen.
That's
just
not cool.
By nature, I'm just not like that.
Right.
Or judgy like that. I think that she was trying to still remain relevant because her music is still relevant.
Okay.
But what she was singing and dancing to is not the same persona as the young girl. I mean, Papa Don't Preach, coming from her, she is that Papa. You know what I'm saying? She's already at the age of the Papa. She's no longer the young chick that she was portraying when she wrote that song. So that's the danger of being in a genre where you're just doing sexy physical music.
Yes, and you're
because it doesn't look the same when you try to
Paula
perform that
Abdul,
line.
another one. I'm like, Paula, what happened, Abdul? Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh,
So you can only, I mean, and it's going to happen to Cardi B.
Yes. Oh, look, man. I mean, yeah.
We already see it.
She's got surgery. She's getting deflated.
I was going to say
surgery coming up. She's going through the process.
I mean,
like,
she was a thick thigh girl anyway.
It's like,
but she was like, did you inject to be thick thigh? Because girl, you had no problem.
Look, take it back.
That's
out.
like me saying, "Oh, my hips are not big enough." Okay, skinny girl. That's not happening.
Take it back out. Go to the gym, work out a little bit, and you'll be just fine. But yeah, she's actually getting deflated, so she's getting all of that removed. I was like, thank God.
What is she? She did butt work. She did hip work, thigh work.
Butt, hip, everything. I mean, after a while, it's just. But
she just looked like a thick, out of shape girl.
I think Madonna and The Weeknd, they both look the same. I think they got the same plastic surgeon.
Who? Weeknd?
Yeah, The Weeknd.
Oh, really?
Right. I think Madonna, The Weeknd, Lil' Kim. I'm like, all of y'all look
for
y'all
sure.
related.
Yeah.
Y'all all look related. Y'all all went to the same doctor.
So you gotta be like in that world. You gotta be like somebody like Missy Elliott.
Yeah.
Right, because Missy Elliott wasn't the glamour queen when she was when she was doing videos, and she comes on stage,
she comes out there.
and they're still like Missy, she's not trying to be young and
It's worth it. Let us work.
Yeah, be Missy Elliott older version. You're cool.
Hey, yes, man. You know what? Embrace your body, guys. I think you guys are all beautiful.
But the thing is, what's so unfortunate about it. There's a stronger word, but I think I'd have to cuss.
Okay.
It's like,
Okay.
You know that feeling is like
cuss.
there's not enough adjectives without dropping an F-bomb. I just feel like there's an F-bomb is needed in this.
It's lingering.
It is. It's like if I wasn't on the radio, I would just do dropping it, but I can't do that because I've already done that once. So no, not the S word, but
okay.
It's like women will still look at Mick Jagger and find him to be attractive.
I love Mick Jagger.
I do too, but I don't love Mick Jagger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He will still attract the young ladies because he's an aged rock and roll star.
Yes, that's on the bush cutting playlist. I like him.
And then you see that these young ladies are going for these pot-bellied men.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They are. What happened? I'm like,
they're
dad bods are in.
It's called
Dad
money.
bods
That's what happened.
It's dad bod
It's like I
season.
didn't notice that you had only one ab.
Dad
But I noticed that you have $1 billion. So I'm willing to overlook that. I'll just close my eyes and not think of anything you know.
Right? It's like, hide the kids. He's coming with his credit score.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. My betrothed, a credit score of 775, 800.
It's like,
yeah.
hide them. He's coming. Here he comes. Let's just lie to
I
him.
got it. Yeah.
Sugar daddies are real. Hey, man.
They are, and these
season.
these girls are breeding for that kind of life, and these men will always have their eyes open for it. They'll always, they're stereotyped.
Okay.
Their friends all call them, these middle-aged, over the hill, desperate dudes that are leaving their wives of 30 years and grown children or even younger children for these hot-bodied 20, 30-year-old ladies, girls. And it's perfectly acceptable in this community. It's perfectly acceptable in any community all across the world. But when you look at it, if I were like a lady who lived that life, she was about that life, right? I'm just going to go find my goal in life is to find that guy. I don't care what he looks like, as long as he's got what I need, right?
Oh, my gosh.
If I was pursuing that lifestyle, I can't imagine what it feels like to know that when you walk in the door and your 400-pound blob of husband that left his wife for 30 years with a healthy bank account was a great life choice. Right. You know what I mean? Because you're just as guilty as this dude for doing what he did.
True.
You're just as guilty.
That's
so
true.
Don't be walking around like, I'm just the product. That's his life. And now you're 25 years old and you're raising a 16-year-old daughter of somebody else's.
Right. It's like, dude, same age as your daughter, bro. Like, what are we doing right now? Why are we here?
Why are we here?
But
cringe,
super cringe.
That's the way it goes, I mean, this is not anything that's new. There's plenty of these old dudes that are walking around with these young chicks, and hey, she's fine with it. And you see them, like I see them at Payless. You got the old white dude who's with a woman who's not from here, somewhere in Asia. Somewhere in Asia, and she's, due to and he's picking out what foods are going to be bought.
Okay.
I see it. And it's not you, and you may or may not know what I'm talking about, but you see it. He's picking out. He runs the show. He takes her along with their kid, if it's her kid, or just her kid, or theirs together, whatever. You don't know. I don't really care, but he's telling her. She's like, "Oh, I want to get this," and he says, "No, we don't need that." Right? She's the one that's obviously at home. Right. And so he basically runs her life because she's obviously doesn't look like she has family here. She's speaking another language and sort of an Asian born language. And so however that happened.
Wow. Okay.
Those relationships exist like that, where you're just really the possession of somebody. And I've seen it a lot.
Okay. See, we're learning.
Well, we're also judging, so that we got to go.
Oh, yeah. And that part.
All right. We need to get to that associated. But lots of things came out of the U.S. Supreme Court today, and something definitely to take a listen to. That's all ahead here on Mornings with Patti. We are KGUM-FM and Daddy Do Guam.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. The Supreme Court's wrapped up its term with another setback for President Trump. Mark Sherman reports the justices rejected his executive order on birthright citizenship.
That would have denied citizenship to children born to mothers who are in the country illegally or temporarily. Trump signed an executive order on his first day in office last year that would have upended more than a century's understanding of what it means to be an American citizen.
And Sagar Magani reports there was also another setback for transgender people.
The High Court upheld laws in Idaho and West Virginia barring transgender girls and women from school athletic teams. The conservative majority says the laws do not violate either the Constitution or Title IX, which prohibits sex discrimination in education. The decision seems likely to extend to more than 24 other GOP-led states with similar bans. The Supreme Court has repeatedly ruled against transgender Americans the past year. And President Trump was surprised that this case even got to the High Court.
I mean, could you imagine 20 years ago talking about men playing in women's sports? They'd think you're crazy.
The ruling does not resolve lawsuits challenging laws and regulations in other states that let transgender athletes compete consistent with their gender identity. Sagar Magani, Washington.
Rescue teams in Venezuela freeing a 21-year-old from under a collapsed building after he was trapped for 106 hours. But aid groups warn the healthcare system is at a breaking point nearly a week after two powerful earthquakes hit the country. The official death toll now more than 1,900. U.S. envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner have arrived in Qatar for meetings with mediators on ending the Iran war. And Serena Williams returned to singles competition at Wimbledon, losing her first-round match to Australian Maya Joint, a woman less than half her age. This is AP News. Seth Sutel has the AP Markets Report.
Stocks closed higher on Wall Street and trimmed their losses from a rocky June. The S&P 500 rose 0.8%. The index fell to its first losing month following two big monthly gains. The Dow added 136 points, that's about 0.3%, reaching another all-time high. The Nasdaq Composite climbed 1.5%. Stocks in the AI industry did well, following sharp swings early in the month on worries they'd become too expensive. Treasury yields rose in the bond market, crude oil prices fell. Stocks rose across most of Europe and Asia. The Japanese yen fell near a 40-year low against the U.S. dollar. Seth Sutel, New York.
Job openings stayed at a surprisingly strong 7.6 million in May, and consumer confidence has ticked higher, but the Conference Board's index remains mostly negative by historical standards. There's more news at apnews.com. I'm Ben Thomas. Thanks for listening. AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. A divided Supreme Court's rejected President Trump's executive order declaring that children born to people in the country illegally or temporarily are not U.S. citizens. Sagar Magani has details.
It's a stinging rebuke for a Trump immigration priority. A bare majority of 5 justices ruled the 14th Amendment says anyone born in the country is a citizen, with few exceptions.
Today, the Constitution won.
Congressional Hispanic Caucus Chair Adriano Espaillat, alongside fellow New Yorker Grace Meng.
You may try to redefine what it means to be an American, and you will fail.
Oh dear, what a rule.
Here we go.
The ruling came out as House Speaker Mike Johnson, a constitutional lawyer, was speaking with reporters.
I'm very disappointed in that outcome.
The president says it's too bad for the country and wrongly suggests Congress can address it with legislation. Since the High Court decided the case on constitutional grounds, it would take an amendment to overcome the decision. Sagar Magani, Washington.
Mark Sherman reports the Supreme Court upheld state laws barring transgender girls and women from school athletic teams.
The court has repeatedly ruled against transgender people in the past year, and the latest ruling found that laws in Idaho and West Virginia do not violate either the Constitution or the federal law known as Title IX that bars discrimination in education. There are about 24 other Republican-led states with similar laws, and it seems likely that the decision will extend to those laws as well.
In Venezuela, the earthquake death toll is now more than 1,900, and aid groups warn the healthcare system's at a breaking point. Oil prices eased with U.S. envoys in Qatar for talks with mediators, and stocks closed higher. The Dow up 136 points, the S&P 0.8%, the Nasdaq 1.5%. This is AP News. Online frauds become one of the world's most profitable criminal industries.
An Associated Press Frontline investigation found American technology is being used to power the revolution. In one case, Elon Musk's satellite internet service, Starlink, is the #1 internet service provider in Myanmar, including to scam centers. Eric Hines for the International Justice Mission.
As these compounds get pushed further inward from the Thai border, the local providers in Myanmar become less reliable and aren't able to handle all the bandwidth that you would need to run a large-scale scam operation. So other ways to connect to the internet become more important.
Chris Kalousis fell victim to a scam that cost him $400,000.
I worked my whole life for that, and in 6 weeks, it's mostly gone.
He says American tech companies need to do more to protect people from getting scammed. I'm Haya Pinjwani.
There's more news at apnews.com. I'm Ben Thomas. Thanks for listening.
Hungry and need gas? Mobile's got you covered. Now through July 31st, Mobile Smiles app members can enjoy a free 6-inch Subway sandwich with every minimum fill-up of $30 gas at any Guam mobile station. Available exclusively on the mobile app. It's an easy summer win. Fuel up, open the app, and enjoy the rewards. Not a member yet? Pick up a Mobile Smiles card at any mobile location and register today. Mobile and Subway, a great deal for the summer. See store for details.
Bank Pacific has a $100 gift for all Region High School and college graduates.
Okay, I'll bite. What is it?
Open a checking account with Bank Pacific, show us you just graduated, and bingo, we'll deposit an additional $100 into your account.
What about a Visa debit card?
Yep, Visa debit card, online and mobile banking, remote deposit capture, the works.
What about for existing customers who just graduated?
They get $100 too.
Great, count me in.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots. Conditions apply, member FDIC.
Close your eyes and open your senses. Introducing the all-new 2026 Mazda CX-5. Thoughtfully redesigned with a refined interior, larger 15.6-inch touchscreen display, advanced connectivity, and Mazda's signature driving experience. Enjoy elevated comfort, intuitive technology, and craftsmanship designed around you. The all-new 2026 Mazda CX-5 Sport is available from $29,995 or just $198 per paycheck. Get pre-approved instantly at triplejguam.com.
Celebrating America's 250th birthday. One of America's greatest cities was founded by French colonists in 1718. It became part of the U.S. in 1803 after the Louisiana Purchase. New Orleans is the birthplace of jazz and home to Creole cooking and has produced dozens of famous recording artists, including Fats Domino, Louis Armstrong, I see trees of green, red roses too, and R&B queen Irma Thomas. knows what love is, will understand. New Orleans suffered unspeakable tragedy in 2005 when Hurricane Katrina hit, flooding 80% of the city and leaving tens of thousands of people without food, electricity, water, or medical care. But the city rebuilt. Mardi Gras returned, and the French Quarter and all of New Orleans came back strong.
The road to Guadalupe is set. This time, we sit down with Democrat candidates Senator Joe San Augustine and former Senator Dwayne St. Nicholas. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 8th on the Wave 105 YouTube channel. Stay informed and hear their vision for Guam's future. Wave 105 is a Glimpses of Guam radio station.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the show hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the staff or management of Wave 105.1 FM, Glimpses Media, or our partners. We strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, and we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105.1 FM. Enjoy the show.
News, views, and everything Guam cares about. Wave 105.
Celebrating America's 250th birthday. It's the great American pastime, and there's nothing more exciting in baseball than a home run. But home runs were not a big deal until 1927, when New York Yankee Babe Ruth set the all-time record for the most home runs in a single season with 60.
When you get a fastball and you hit it squarely, it'll go much further than a slow ball. You don't have to furnish your own power.
That record stood for 34 years, until Roger Maris hit 61 home runs in one single season.
Fastball hit deep to right. This could be it. Way back there. Holy cow! 61 home runs, and they're still fighting for that ball out there.
All records are meant to be broken, and the most home runs during an MLB season now stands at 73.
Second baseman moves 20 feet into right field. Barnes hits one. Deep to right field. Look out on the coming call. Barnes has number 73.
Thanks to Barry Bonds' superhuman batting for the San Francisco Giants in 2001.
News, views, and everything Guam cares about. Wave 105.
Oh, for crying out loud. If this is not Listen to the Music by the Doobie Brothers, I don't know
Doobie
what
Brothers?
is. No, it's not, but
Oh.
it's like
Okay.
it's like a takeoff. It's like
Doobie Brothers?
It's a fake Doobie Brothers.
I got the banjo. I heard the banjo.
I hear that guitar lick and all that stuff. That's the one. That's very signature Doobie Brothers. Well, July 1st.
July 1st.
A day that has been long awaited by those in the world of doula services. Beginning today, eligible Guam Medicaid recipients can receive covered doula services during their pregnancy, during their labor, and up to 180 days postpartum. The covered services will include everything from prenatal visits to labor support to birth planning to education to postpartum guidance, all of the things that we women who have had babies back in the day had in some of these old communities where these services were made available to women because women were supporting women in communities where we don't have modern health care. This is an age-old, timeless practice that was introduced to Guam, and today it makes it much easier for those who are on Medicaid to be able to have these services without going through great expense. And we're so happy to be talking to Jerlane Santos. Is it Gur or Jerlane? I'm sorry. Santos from the...
It's Jelena.
Jelena
Santos.
Thank
Pat,
you.
You were very acquainted.
I
it might take you a minute to remember, but
okay.
We've met a few times.
You know what? Actually, I do remember, but I got stuck on the name. I don't know why it sounded like I should have been saying Gur for something like all of these times.
Because it's spelled with a G.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I was saying. All of these years, did I not get it right? I was saying the wrong way. Okay. Well, Jelane Santos is the Guam program coordinator. And you are at Public Health, right?
No, I actually am the Guam program coordinator for the Birth Workers of Color Collective.
Okay, all right.
We are a nonprofit organization that has been in this work and advocating for the Medicaid benefit to pull through since 2023.
Okay, Birth Workers of Color Collective. Thank you, thank you for this. But this is a flagship program, the Guam Doula, the Guahan Doula Project, created obviously through the Guam Bureau of Women's Affairs, and this is a partnership with them, the Birth Workers of Color Collective. This is, congratulations for hitting a landmark where this program will invite more eligible Guam Medicaid recipients.
Yes, I actually just wanted to clarify the project was developed and co-written by the Birth Workers of Color Collective. It was definitely championed by the Bureau of Women's Affairs, and we very much appreciate their partnership in those efforts.
Well, thank you for the clarification, because it did take a while to get here. To this point, and so here we are. Let's just sort of explain to these women who are on Medicaid what the service means to them.
Well, it means a lot. I mean, I think in order for us to explain that, we need to just talk a little bit about where we are education-wise for the island. I mean, when Birth Workers of Color Collective first trained their first cohort back in 2023. It was very rare for anybody in our community to even have heard the word doula or knew what birth work was. And now birth worker and the title birth worker and the title doula, they're used interchangeably. And essentially doulas are non-medical support people. So we can help with non-medical, emotional, physical support like comfort measures during labor, and then also educational support and just connecting them to resources.
And so a lot of these services will be beneficial to women who otherwise would not be able to afford, the standard sort of medical care. They're on Medicaid.
Absolutely.
For all these reasons. So
yes.
This is just amps that experience with somebody who is basically going to personally lead and guide them through the process.
Yes.
Is that about right? Okay.
One of the first things that we wanted to address with getting these doula services available through the Medicaid benefit is our maternal and infant mortality rates, which are very above average on Guam. It's not a statistic we're very proud of, and one of the interventions that has shown through studies all over the world is that the presence of a doula in the room and throughout that process actually helps lower those rates. And it proves to be a more cost-efficient solution to this problem as we're working more towards, getting more OBGYNs on island, because I'm sure you've heard there's a shortage of those. So yeah, it's definitely a benefit that's going to help improve the well-being of our Guam families, especially the ones that avail of Medicaid.
How does one avail themselves of the project? How would they? And what's the first line? I have a pregnant woman who's listening now who's on Medicaid. What's her first step?
Well, she could reach out to her provider. She could reach out to us at birthworkersofcolor.com. She could email me at guam@birthworkersofcolor.com. Just get in touch with us. We have a referral system right now. But I do want to note that the enrollment process for doulas to become providers is still underway. And I have to leave that up for public health to speak about. But as of now, the Medicaid program has been amended today so that when services are being billed, they can retroactively bill for July 1st.
Okay. So even if they go and they don't have everything, I mean, if they do request the service, even if it's not all set up, eventually the coverage will still be.
The coverage will be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know. Is there anything you want to add to this? I mean, congratulations. I don't know if we were going to call it a hard, a hard-fought battle, but there were some challenges to it, and predominantly the challenge at the first go-around on this was that there was a misunderstanding of what a doula does and the services that are provided. Some people were mistaking it for guidance on how to.
I think that's still happening.
Okay.
I think it's definitely still happening. But today marks a very historic milestone, and I think is a huge win for Guam families. Yes, it's been a big fight, a lot of challenges. Like I said, Stevie Marino, who's the executive director of the Birth Workers of Color, she first came to Guam to talk about her work and the org in 2023. And since then, she's held 3 trainings. She's having another one in July. Our org has co-written legislation. We've met with providers. We've met with government leaders, healthcare leaders. We've done all the things. And so I think that it's important to note that even though there's a lot of work that needs to be done still in order for this to be successful, I think that it's a huge win because, like I said, 3 years ago, people didn't even know the word doula or know what birth work was, and now we have a government institution acknowledging that this is a service that is needed. So I think it's a huge win for everybody involved.
I agree. We've come a long way, baby. So,
yeah.
How many local actual providers? We know that there are referral services, right? Like the Total Guam is one of them, the Famalawan Wellness Center. But there were the actual services. Is there like a sort of a business that does this, provides the service?
A business. Well, essentially and historically, doulas are entrepreneurs.
Right.
So our organization, we run as a collective. We train doulas, and doulas can stay connected to us, and we can help refer them to clients. But essentially, they're their own business, and I think that's another thing to note is that anyone who's getting into birth work is empowered to create a sustainable life for themselves through offering this service. I also wanted just to make sure that it's understood. This would require more education too, but doulas are non-medical providers, so they're not doctors, they're not midwives, they're not in that space. They are solely there to support mothers and expectant families in making informed choices and feeling support during these transformational times in their lives.
Okay, so there isn't any particular organization, I don't want to say clinic because it isn't a clinic, but a coordinated healthcare provider, a doula provider on Guam that you can be recommended to. It's
But,
all
yeah,
okay.
They could. I mean, we have a referral system to the doulas that we work with.
Okay.
But public health. This is what I meant about the enrollment process. Is public health is the one who develops the requirements to become a doula provider. And
Okay.
since they're basically entrepreneurs, they would individually become providers.
Got
so
it.
eventually, there would be a more robust referral system. But through the Birth Workers of Color, we've already actually started a financial aid program to get these services out, even before this rolled out. So clients who want doulas can come to us, and we can find the funding to get them the doula services.
Oh, fantastic! Now
Yeah.
what's a number to call? You or contact you if
it would be my number.
Yeah.
682-9000.
You're going to do it,
Yeah.
aren't you? You can give everybody your phone number. So that's it. I mean, thank you for doing that, because then it's an easy number for people for women to remember, families to remember, to give you a call and just be led in the right direction. But congratulations in order for the hard work that has been done to create this Guam Doula service for Guam. We do appreciate your time. Thank you so much for
Thank you, Patti.
allowing us to talk to
can
you.
I also, I'm so sorry. Can I just add real quick? We
Sure.
offer free workshops every month.
Okay.
If they follow us on Instagram at Birth Workers of Color, they'll be able to stay updated on that. They're free pregnancy, birth, labor, postpartum, early parenting workshops.
Okay.
And they're family friendly. So
Okay.
keep in touch with us.
So bring your kids if you're family friendly.
Yes, bring your kids.
Yeah, because you can't. So they're joined at the hip these days. So Birth Workers of Color Collective 682-9000. Thanks so much for this time.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate. Hope to run into you again soon.
Yes.
All
Have
right.
a good day.
You
Bye.
as well. Take good care. 25 now after 9. Yeah, that's there was this whole misconception about what doula work was, because there were some folks that were sort of ignorant to the whole thing, and again, this is an age-old practice where women in the community, I should say ancient, because it was the only sort of medical profession of the day that could they considered them a profession that could service women and support them through this process and provide comfort. In modern day society, back in the 70s and the 80s, when we were all hippied and living freely and fastly, that we were going back to some of these practices to avoid, Western medicine and the sort of sterile environment. I might have been the last of the 1980s to have been who has given birth during a time where it really was you labor in one room and you birth in another. Wow. You birth in a sterile, very clean, like not even aesthetically pleasing. It looked like it was cold, and there was a lot of stainless steel bedding and all of that. It really was not, compared to
Where
like
we
the
are right
differences
now. Yeah.
between me giving birth in 1980 to when I gave birth in 1988, markedly different. Cerise was born at Capilani Hospital, and I labored in one room. The father couldn't even come in the room. You know who was there?
No.
Carlotta Leon Guerrero.
Hey, that's a perfect midwife.
And
I
then,
love that.
yeah, absolutely.
Good
so
choice,
she was
good
my
choice.
doula of the day,
I
and
love
then
that.
after that all happened, but by 1988, I was going into Kaiser Hospital to give birth to Tia, and before I gave birth, they offered classes for the other siblings who were going to now have a child in the new family. To get used to the idea that another child was going to be, that's what they were doing. You know what I mean? They wheeled me into into a room that was, you labored and delivered all in the same room, and it was low lighting and music and videotaping, and oh my God, it was an experience. But you can only imagine having a doula, times 45 that experience, because she's there all throughout your pregnancy. She'll even run errands for you. And this is a person who is going to be with you. So she's the face you're going to look at, when you're actually pushing in your hardest times and when you're actually going through that active labor. And you're at that, she's the face that you're going to look at as the person who's going to guide you through it. And there's nothing like that face. there's nothing, even if it's your partner, there's nothing like that face. You fixate on somebody who's there that in your heart is there for you. And so, I don't mean to sound like over, dramatizing the situation, but plenty of women need the extra support.
For sure.
And so this is the fact
That's
that it's
great
happening
news,
on.
though.
I love
That
it.
is great news.
And welcome to it.
Appreciate that.
Listen, it's coming up on 9:30. The Vet Talk folks are going to start a little bit early this morning, giving a little half-hour jump on the rest of the show. They'll be coming in, Auntie Johnny and Uncle Bobby.
Hey. They'll never know.
They'll never know. They're
They'll
out there. He's
never
over there
know.
giving me hand gestures, and he has
They'll
no
never
idea
know.
what I just said. But they'll be in the studio to capture the early Vet Talk this morning, and we'll come around on the other side. Listen out all day. If you find Dice on Power 98,
Thanks,
because she's always going to give you the latest on the weather. Pauly Suba, obviously, in the afternoon, he'll do what he can. He's got Cody Lozama in, but these messages coming out of the National
Will
Weather
he be
Service.
bringing a goat? Is he bringing a goat, Cody?
Rocky died. Rocky passed away, unfortunately. Yeah, sorry about that.
All right,
God
he didn't
bless
make it.
Rocky. He
Okay.
didn't make it. He
Without
didn't make
the
it.
goat, that's
guy.
all right.
Goat guy. He's our guy. But so anyway,
That's a good choice. Good choice.
having
Good
said that, keep an eye out for what's happening. The weather is going to be an important part of your weekend. Dice will give you all of the latest, definitely on Power 98, and of course, Pauly this afternoon at 2:00. We'll give you all the latest. In between time, it's the Tight to Nose on the radio here on Mornings with Patti. 9:30. We'll go ahead and take a break. Be right back. See you tomorrow, Dice. Thanks.
Hey, Biba Patty.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
The road to Adelup is in full swing. We recently spoke with Democrat candidates Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio and Senator Tina Munilla Barnes to learn more about their vision for Guam. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 26th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. This is a glimpses of Guam radio station.
Get ready to unleash your best punchlines and share a laugh. We're celebrating